Okay, tired. Good evening, everyone. This is Colonel Gray, and I'm coming to you again from my studio here in the Twin Cities. And I'd like to welcome you to what is appearing to be a very tiresome day for me. I had quite a bit. I'm involved in a research endeavor with a group of scholars, and I'm supposed to contribute to that endeavor. And so I've been on the field trying to do some primary research, but this is in line with COVID 19, of course. But that's not important to this discussion. And as you may have noticed over the last two broadcasts that I had here, I had showcased or presented some community initiative, outreach initiative by Senator Darius Dillon. He continues to be the subject of our current administration as opposed to the administration finding ways to alleviate our people from the current misery. Their entire focus is on um, December elections. And even though campaign has not been officially declared as a ruling establishment, the government and CDC, they've been going about, campaigning, visibly sharing money to people who probably will make the difference. I'm going to try to share this video, and I'll come back and continue with my expose. And if possible, I'll bring a brother through on this live broadcast. It's pretty late, it's after 11 o'clock, but the brother probably won't make me shame because we have talked, and he's a revolutionary. I don't believe he's asleep. We don't sleep at all, even though younger generation who have no clue about the meaning of a revolutionary or the meaning of a true revolution. They always would be the first to start casting stones. Tonight I had a post out there, and I was talking about um, how fast, rewind just to 2017 and going earlier than that, maybe 2016. How the argument was that the current president, whether or not he was educated, he was their choice. As a matter of fact, education was less important because if education could develop a country like Burma being developed, so there was a denigration there, of education. In addition to that, um, there's a claim that Darzina is truly not genuine, is insincere, is just a fake. So I wrote something on the contrary to say, well, those who are making those allegations are truly probably are conversant. In other words, they understand exactly what fakery is all about. Because we warned them about how Mr. Weir was a big fake and he did not have a genuine piece of the country in his heart. It was all about him. But even at that, the people say, we don't care. He was our man. Now, fast forward to 2020, they want us to go back and look at the narrative that Darius is not educated to their level, to their, he's not sincere, he's fake. I mean, sort of all the qualities that were ascribed upon President Weir that fell on deaf ears are the ones people are raising today. So the argument is, why should people buy their argument now when similar arguments were raised in the past and nobody bought it? So what has changed? Why should people listen to them now, but they could not listen to us then? And we're caught up in this mess we're in today. For some folks, they've seen the realities, but They're still trying to patch up stuff. And, the thing about it, Liberians in general, they all are watching history unfolding. But like I said, let me see if I can distribute this video so that I don't soliloquize or just be the only one talking here. But I tell you what, we will continue to showcase people. Look, it's going to hurt them. It's going to hurt them because we want a country that will be moving in the right direction. We knew definitely that a government of President Weah would mean nothing to the Republic, especially progress, because the man is dimwit. He has no idea. The man earned some money actually from his soccer career and could not manage it. He was broke all over the place. He was running through cash every time he laid hands on um, money from the Senate. Boom, he was overseas either to have fun or to gamble, one of the two. Now, this individual, you understand, mismanaged, so to speak, what he earned. How would you expect such a person who grew out of poverty to um, to blow out that level of money? Let's say he had $4 million. That because some ascribe way way bigger figures to him because I know he was not sophisticated enough and he was only concerned about earning low money and run with it probably to go have good time. And so um, I don't think he really reinvested his money to any extent. But that is not the argument. Okay? That is not the argument. The argument here is that he lacks the capacity to manage anything, let alone an entire country. So that's where the difference is with those who believed in him or believe in him versus those who do not. We were older enough to be around to see how very, very difficult it was to even earn $1,000 in Africa, and someone were to go first in Yaoundé, Cameroon, to earn what becomes, I think it was like $88,000 if I'm not mistaken. I remember that this man earned in his first endeavor in Cameroon. Then the club made some break on him after he was sold to I think AC no to Monaco, if I'm not mistaken, maybe Monaco, and the president left Monaco and then began to rival his way through Europe. Played for some good teams, um, but this is not what this discussion is all about. It's not about this man's accomplishment in the soccer career. Right now, he's managing a nation that belongs to maybe in excess of 10 million people because we're a nation. We're spread out, sparsely spread out in the diaspora. So therefore, we cannot look at just those internally. Even though I mean the small-headed ones would think that a country is only responsible for its citizens within the country, not abound, meaning out of the country. So there would be those who think Liberia's problem is internal. So therefore, people should only concern about what is obtaining internally. I know it's more than that, and so like I said, I'm going to try to bring the gentleman I was counting upon that he would join me in this broadcast tonight. In addition to that, I'll be bringing you excerpts from two people. So it's not like Senator Darius Dillon is just standing there and is being pounded by those who think that the republic is theirs exclusively. Because, whenever people are ascending to power, they always believe that the country is theirs. If you look at the way how Madame Salif carried on, one would think that she felt the republic was hers. It's the same way. Mr. Ware is carrying on now. I mean, it's people they care less about other folks. Now they're coming back. Imagine we were complaining that the nation was broke, and then suddenly now people are coming in the public arena with stock of money. So people are beginning to make the case that, oh yeah, we say money went missing, and people argued. Now it's elections time. You will see them, the money coming out. It looks like some of those are money that were used for the mop up exercise to retrieve excess liquidity, according to them. And those money, some of them look like dilapidated currency. But um, they're using it to showcase themselves out there, so that the very people they told they didn't have money, the very people they were supposed um, to give, the very people they were supposed to give some stimulus package money to, are the very people now. Suddenly, they're coming out to make the case that they have some money actually that they will be expending for electoral purposes. Matter of fact, our laws frowns on bribery. So if you use money to influence the outcome of an election here in the United States, it's a felony. I have to do that research to make sure that it's also equally not a felony in the Republic of Liberia. You cannot be seen divvying money because with political motives. That in itself is a crime. And these people are so ignorant to the point they don't even know that. They're outside there, publicly in the face of everybody, sharing money because they want to influence people's vote, people's choices. And that is where the problem that some of us, let me see if I can go back and try to see if I would share this video again. Hang in there. And so and folks have been going out there. They've been bribing people openly. First, it was a sitting senator or a sitting representative, Thomas Fowler, was seen out there. I can understand if you were to take food items to bring to our folks. It's going to be hard in a court to prove that that was intended to influence people's vote. But like I say, it's a crime. Here in the United States, it's a felony. Uh, it's a felony crime if you intend to influence people's vote by bribing them, by bribing their choice or choices. So, but to go back to what I was saying, Darius Dillon happens to be the focus of attention. Uh, this government have seen nobody absolutely to go after because they feel so threatened. Imagine if CDC were to lose Monserrato twice to one person. That's the end of their political career. So, political pundits and observers like some of us are saying arrogance, petulance, shame, damnation, um, egocentrism will step in the way that will make these people to rig the election. Even if Dillon wins, they may or may not want to give him just lightly. So this is where I respect people like Dillon. This is where I respect people like Prof. Alari Tokpa. This is where I have differences with people in that CPP who think they can win election without being hard on the government. You have to hold these people feet to the fire. There's no something like a clean politics. I gave up ever since on Cummins because Cummins is a coward, he's a punk. You don't expect him to say anything. He's going to hide behind, some tablecloth or somewhere there. But you must hear Darius Dillon today. They find the government that if they do anything with that elections, with that December, I think, 8th election, that will be the end of them. And for peace sake, we'll ask the government to leave. This time, no, there's no for peace sake individuals who are affected must leave. No, it's the government who will be asked, will cleverly, politely ask Mr. Weir for peace sake leave. If he insists that he won the election or they won the Monserrate election when they didn't win the election, nobody's going to take for peace sake. And we dare the sub-region to come into foot into our internal mess, because you know what? When a child says the home will not be in peace, remember, they too will not be in peace. But I enjoyed Darius Dillon today, and I monitor him with T-Max Schlatte on his 50-50 show. I'm still trying to share this video here, so you bear with me a little bit. But there are lots of kids who are not around, so they don't know about Liberian politics. They, some of those cheap things they brought with them, some of the bad things that happened from our war are such that today, if you bury the dead in a very beautiful casket, people will go and dig it up, remove the dead, and go back and resell, that casket or those caskets. If you go to work and you put a tombstone, beautiful marble tombstone on your loved one's grave, the headrest of the grave, excuse me, people will go and dig it up and actually erase the name on it and resell it. Those are some of the bad things people brought from, their refugee endeavors out there. They learned some of these callous things outside, because I can swear that Liberia never used to be that way. Matter of fact, we had reverence for the dead. Today, when you talk, people talk about either jealousy, hate, or envy. This is the only time in the history of our country when you talk as an opposition against the ruling establishment, either you're jealous of the president, you can never be like him. These are all small children talks, and I hear that. And whenever someone comes out with these kinds of expose or exposition, I know definitely that either their mind is so small like an ant, or they just are innocent. They don't know anything about politics. A politics that's not a bow down game where you go in and bow down to the ruling establishment. Hell no. Matter of fact, I think this president has not even seen a pinch of what will happen to him in his endeavors as president. So all of these descriptors they're using, they're just wasting their time, because these are kids. They don't know anything. Look, some of these kids need to actually see how ferocious Liberians can be when in demanding for their rights. Most of them need to see. Most of them don't know. They grew up. They were 3-4-year-old kids. Now they've grown up. 18 years. Madam Salif held 12 years on stability. Because of the presence of other international force. And so most of these kids don't really know what Liberians can do when it comes to demanding their rights. They have zero idea. All they know is that they see few military people, 2,000 maybe, and few police people who are led by someone like Patrick Sudu, who can barely express himself. And so they believe that force presence is enough to hold the peace. I understand that Liberians have graduated from actually thinking about war, but most of the folks around are battle tested. They're battle tested. But so I enjoy Mr. Honorable Darius Dillon today in the 50-50. So let me start bringing some of those things. And also enjoy Professor Alaric Tokpa. Um, Alaric was in studio. Alaric also has been the focus of attention. This is a small, that's why I would say people don't know what a totalitarian or authoritarian government is. They have no clue. All they know is that because they're not chasing people in broad daylight, so they don't think that this government is oppressive. This government is oppressive. Right now, nobody is allowed to campaign. When you go cross to certain region, you must have a COVID-19 pass. Meanwhile, their officials, Malba Molo and others, they're out there divvying money in the presence of the international press or media. And they are doing it not only for Monrovia, but as far away as Grangere. That is how this government is stalling on the rights of people. They are free to go about, do their thing, but you cannot. But eventually there will be an outburst. Ware himself was not present for any of our war. He only used to come once in a while when there's a ceasefire. He come scared. But to say he was in the country when all that exchange of bullets and really kerfuffle were going on, he got zero idea. He was out and about in Europe having fun. You see some of the videos out there. He's nude, advertising, cosmetic for big companies, and so this guy has zero idea what Liberians can do to demand their rights. I think the sub-region would tell you that we can take so much for so long, but when there's an outburst, it's very, very difficult to control that moment. This election that is coming in Montserrado, because that's where all the focus is. No matter what they do, they have lost their space in the heart of our people. Let them go out there and share all the money they can share. They can call, people who are barely qualified to have job out here in the West, put money in their pocket, make noise. It's not going to solve any problem. Look, Madam Salif had all the money. Her son had money. 1985, the same way. Doe had all the money. 1997, when Taylor ran, there are people who are wealthy. Matter of fact, 2005, the guy who had all the money, I think Reverend Sandy, took 5th place. So money is not all about elections. You have to really go in the heads of the people. But let me bring Darius Dillon in studio here before I lose my thought. Let me see if I can look for him. Give me a break. So he was in T. Max Gilatte's room today, 50-50. And he had this.
Oh, girl 14 drugged and raped. Act of muggery, $16 million case in limbo. Where is the feminist in chief? A question being asked. Should the Constitution be tweeted to decide to reduce term limits for presidents, senators, legislators, and
I'm going to push this forward so that
the mandate that by hook or by hook or by crook.
Let me see if I can find it.
Good morning, Mr. Gilatte.
Good morning, my brother. What's your name and where you calling out from?
This is Wellington V. Sombai, and I'm phoning in for my comfort in Cornwall.
Go ahead.
Let me say good morning to your studio guests, specifically the people of Montserrado County, son, Darius Dillon.
Good morning, sir.
I'm very much happy, and with the last comment, that any attempt that this particular democracy will be thwarted.
Listen to. Hang on a sec here.
Great! Just got paid.
Somebody said $16 billion got missing. The monies are not in the bank. They are in private homes. They are in private. On the other side, they are here voting. They are voting on this side, on that side voting on that side. We are in constant consultation with them. We've spoken with them. We've mobilized them. And so, as we campaign for Darius, Dillon, and Masurado, I call him the political celebrity of Masurado. And so, those records are there. We're not going to rest. We're going from, in fact, my community that I left in, Darius won there. He's going to win there again. So, for us, we're not carrying cash. We're not carrying rest. We are not carrying motorbikes because we don't have stolen money, stolen materials that we put in the house to put outside. Somebody said $16 billion got missing. Those monies are not in the bank. They are in private homes. They are in private vaults. So we will encourage them to bring the money outside and get back their money. And while we campaigning, so certainly, yes, we will be campaigning in Masurado. We campaign in Grand Bassa. We campaign in Brown County. We campaign in Lofa County. We will campaign everywhere that the CPP have individuals in there. Liberia will collapse. I said it the other day. We need a strong and vibrant Liberian outside of partisanship. Outside of going to the president and saying, put money in my pocket. We will respect the president, but we must be men and women enough to tell him the truth in his face. If we don't do that, if anything happens in this country, President we are alone will not take the responsibility. All of us, senators, representatives, men, all of us. The Liberian people will ask us, you were there, what did you do? That's why we are flagging this situation up. In the Senate, yes, we have about 8 senators. It's majority. Sometimes decisions are made that will not be in the interest of the Liberian people. But again, the Senate is a political theater. So when they take their vote, and thank God that our deliberations are here in the open, so the Liberian people will see who are those standing for the country. I take you as far back as the Cabinet Jammeh case. You know what happened. You know where we stood up. And I said, and I will say again, what happened that time? If it happens again, I will play the same role I played. And I'm praying to God that Cabinet wins the case at ECOWAS case. This will teach us a lesson that you don't be vindictive. You don't introduce political witch hunt because somebody expresses their opinion on a particular issue. You don't punish a person for that. The Constitution gave us a right. And the judges, the senators, the representative, that if in the discharge of our duties, we should not be held liable for expressions made. But today, people have been witch hunted, people have been chased, people have been prosecuted for their expressions made in total violation of the Constitution. The Code of Conduct. Why are ministers campaigning? Why are they involved in other politics? And so now look at this. So we as Liberians, owners of Liberia, as we call ourselves, and leaders, if we are grossly, broad day, violating our Constitution, what do you expect the foreign nationals to do? So sometimes you're going to say, well, your Constitution is just a paper that nobody listens to, nobody abide by that. And these are the issues when we flag out, then they say we are enemy of the state. I don't care how you call me, but I will tell you the truth. We are in this government, we expect that all of us will do those things that will be better for all of us, to better the lives of our people.
Dillon,
for me?
And how do you people think this election will be free, fair, and transparent?
Oh no, first let me respond to what I'm going to bombing. I'm going to bombing. The people in bombing calling us. Darius Dillon want to Sandra Johnson is the light of bombing. We're taking him there. We're going there to stand with our colleague. Sandra Johnson was with the CDC, the Coalition of Democratic Change. Since we put the CPP together in substance, Sandra Johnson has stood with CPP and the Liberian people as over the CDC nonsense that they're doing here. This man has stood his ground for the people, and the people he deserves, the people's vote, and those who believe in our theory. In bombing, we're going to go to bombing county. In fact, in the next 2 weeks, we're supposed to be there.
The office.
Yeah. One of the reasons we don't publicly talk about our movements, we got to be tactical as well. But let me say this. Grand Bassa, how I'm a son of Grand Bassa County. I'm Wilfred Dillon's son. I'm David Dillon's son, the former judge, the policeman's son. Rosie Dillon nephew. Who will know me in the county? I can sit down right on the microphone and make impact with the decision in Grand Bassa County. And Grand Bassa County is where normally Kanga Lawrence comes from. We're going there. We're going Nimba. We're going Lofa. If your station network can reach as far as those places, open the line, will pay. And let the people call. They will tell you, say, Darius, Dillon, please come. Hopefully this weekend.
No, but wait a minute. I went to a town in Bomi. It's not far from in Bomi County. I'm not saying anywhere else. And I having the program for myself. Dara wasn't there. I didn't tell in Bomi. I didn't say any other county. By the time I said Abraham Dara Dillon, the whole place, I said, well, I'm talking to talk for myself. They said, well, the name you call.
The man called me.
I'm calling you. I said, but look at my own place. So go to people that go to there.
The man called me. I said,
let people celebrate it just because I call his name. Go ahead, Darius.
So we're going across this country, either physically or by our voice reaching there. And look, I hear all this talk about people who want a country at all costs, this and that. It must be democratic.
Of course.
It must be because that's what the people want. I'm a lover of democracy. I believe in the people's rights to choose. If anybody attempts, including President George Weah, attempts on this election, it will be the end of his term immediately before 2023. Let me repeat. Anybody, after they want to go to all their concoction, their plans and the plots, every police center in this county will have the first sheet because we will win every room. Will begin the unofficial announcement of our result immediately from neck on tally sheet from every polling room. The men and women who will serve as pool washer. George Weah and his gang will understand that we're not taking this for a joke. When the people wake up in the morning and go express
their right
for their choice, it must be respected. Any attempt, it will be the immediate end of the George Weah CDC administration from December this year. I want to make it very, very clear. If it is the decision of the people for us not to be retained in the office, we'll sit down in Ghana and thank the people.
Right.
Any attempt, you can share all the money. You can take all the rest from the warehouses. You can wear all the new suit and fly all around. There are some people who are not talking at all. They're only waiting to speak on December 8th, and you deprive them. You will know we're going to fire, or we can warm ourselves.
You can call us on that number now on 0777 771 07 if you live outside our borders. Call us on +231 777 221 223. You'll be live from 5050 on Sky.
Exactly.
We want to send me a special studio guest, Sano Johnson of Bomi County and Darius Dillon of.
So this is exactly what I'm talking. This is someone with spine. This is someone who has enough courage to go on the microphone, in a studio, face the microphone and express himself in an undaunting fashion. This is what I like to see in politicians. This is exactly how politicians should sound. Not a no. If you want the people's vote, you must firstly put your life out there so that people know that if you can compromise your life on their behalf, you would take the lead in preventing the lives of others, even in their absence or even in the presence. This is one guy who spoke today, Darius Dillon. Another guy was Prof. Larry Tokpa. You know, you cannot be a politician and want to be a scary guy, a coward, a chicken who always stays in your coop, and then when others make significant progress to move the gavel forward, then you appear like you want to take the glorification. No. I like brave politicians. I like people who have the fortitude to face what is appearing to be a very chaotic situation. Judge Weah and his people are cowards. I'm telling you. They are cowards. They're not like the Samuel Doe or the Charles Taylor who will stand in the dungeon of war or any disagreement, any fracas. They will come first like they're about to threaten you. But if you stand your ground like Darius Dillon is doing, and believe me, allow it to talk about Dillon, they're resonating as the people's fighters. They're becoming the voice of the voiceless. Yeah, you were successful in chasing Mr. Custer out. You were successful in chasing Martin Corley out. Justina Gibson just left, or Justina Taylor, I'm sorry, just left. And you're chasing some others, but there will be people that will still stand there. Because you know what? Judge Weah has not seen fire. He was out there punking, having fun. Most of the kids who are making all the noise these days, they themselves were babies. So they don't really know, even World War I, II, and III, they don't even remember those wars. So when people are making those noise, you give them the benefit, and then they have one or two loose cannons who call themselves former generals. Who made them generals, I don't know, but former generals. And these are just a handful of people. We have an army that will be in the middle. They will be in the middle. This army is not a George Weah army. Maybe they'll go through the police. And to counter the police, it's not a difficult thing. So we just hope they will do the right thing, and as Dillon is saying, but let's go back to the expose here with Dillon, and let's see what...
Monserrado County. Let's go to the line, talk to our very first caller. Good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Gilate.
Good morning, my brother. What's your name and where are you calling out from?
I did it Wellington Beach, Somebody, and I'm phoning in for my comfort in Corwell.
Go ahead.
Let me say good morning to your studio guests, specifically the people of Monserrado County's son, Darius Dillon.
Good morning, sir.
Yeah, I'm very much happy, and with the last comment, that any attempt that this particular democracy will be thwarted, we will not allow it to happen. But Mr. Gilate, before I go further, I want to ask Honorable Sandro Dasu Johnson, are you still a member of NPP?
No. We are doing serious business with the ALP and the CPP. And we're going to ensure that the CPP wins, because the CPP is alternative for Liberia and Liberians.
Okay. Mr. Gilate, when it comes to December 8th, I'm speaking in a capacity as a citizen of Monserrado County and as a stakeholder in Monserrado County. Every loops and corners of Monserrado County will go there and talk to our people. And you see, Mr. Gilate, even the blind know Darius Dillon. Even the cripple know Darius Dillon. Even the deaf and dumb know Darius Dillon. The name Darius Dillon is a household name. Why? If you see the entire executive focusing on one person, it means that person is victorious already. Like he said, when you follow the history, the recent history that is still creating confusion on the mind of citizens, including President George Manuel Weah, is the history that we're going to repeat on December 8th. That history where President Weah was all in the corner with Polita Weah, and he saw the result of the people. Now they said it was because of civil servants were not getting salary on time. Granted, I pay them, but they will go again and vote for Darius Dillon. You like it, you want to do any other thing, you want to cut and paste the road from here to Douala, anywhere you can do it. But we are resolved that Monserrado County will be given to that light. Be a Chinese light, be a Jaco Lanta, but we'll give it to that light.
You there, Prince? Uh-oh.
give it to already. God bless you and save the motherland.
Amen. Thank you very much. Call me on that number on 0777 You'll be live from 5050 on Sky. One to set my special studio guys, Samuel Johnson of Bombay and Darius Dillon of Maserati County. We asking them what are their chances. They say their chances are very, very bright. Matter of fact, they're working together as the CPP. As a team, they go from county to county where the CPP is featured. Let's go back to line 4. Talk to our next caller. Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning, sir. Mr. Timon Jate.
Good morning, my brother. What's your name and where you calling me from?
I am J. Lawrence Wati, calling from Douala, Kuwait.
Go ahead, Lawrence.
I am so happy again to be on a show of Honorable Dillon and Honorable Samuel Johnson.
Go ahead.
Thank God I was so much. My previous
Prince. Anyway, if Prince is back on the line, I'll be more than happy to get his call. I think I lost him. These things are very sensitive, or maybe I still get him here, but I'm not hearing from him. Prince, if you're back on the line, maybe just try to call, and I'll just leave you to wherever platform you will enter this call. But as I was saying, Senator Dillon was in studio today with Samuel Johnson, and this is how politicians speak. You have to send a direct message to anybody who thinks that they're authoritarian in nature. Even Mr. Taylor, as treacherous as he was, there were folks who stood in his face or somewhere to send out Lishim messages that went down. I believe went down his spine. This president we have today is the least of all the fearsome presidents we've had who are authoritarian. Even Madam Salif was even more vicious than Mr. Weir. Mr. Weir is a coward. He cannot continue to keep people. That's why Professor Larry talked about defied him. Because they want to use this as a moment to stifle people's dissent. And they are out there and about. We say we didn't have money. We accuse that money went missing. And now today we are seeing people sharing money on the open. Where that money came from, or where does money come from? We need to know exactly why people said the $16 billion was snatched and kept in people's private homes. The same thing with the 25 million United States dollars. So nothing is strange, and we understand. Hold on a second. Let me see if I can go back and bring Prince. Prince, you there? I'm not sure what is wrong here, but regardless what's the situation, we will try to get Prince back here. I think I see where the problem is. Just a second, Prince. Prince, I'm trying to reach you again. Is that you?
Hello, Connor. How you doing?
Man, I'm so sorry, my man. I was trying to put you on a bigger platform, but I think you're loud enough, my brother. How's it going? You know, but Not much, my man. You had the senator in studio there, and for the likes of those kids who are just born, probably some of them are 18. Some of them, even if you are 21 today, it means when Madam Salif came to power, you probably were maybe just about 2 or 3 years old. Can you imagine? And today, so you feel that you're a man now, so you must begin to flex your muscle. But most of these people who come out and talk about, you're jealous of the president, you do this, you do that, what happened yesterday can never happen to this Liberia. Firstly, you don't even have authority and you're speaking that way. What will make you stop Liberians who can become so gregarious about their rights? You just a kid that have not even seen anything. You're making all of the statements. So what's your opinion of what the senator said today in 50-50 G-Max, T-Max Gilate?
Well, Coleman, thank you so much. Thanks for establishing this what I consider as an august platform, so as to have or discuss these things. I know you, man. You're a good communicator, and with your background in communication, you are familiar with. I think either it is a VOA or BBC or a program that's often carried. It's called Democracy, War, and Peace.
Oh yeah,
Are you in any way familiar with that?
Oh yes, I do.
Well, I want to say to our listeners and those that are listening to the senator, the honorable senator Darius Dillon today.
Mm-hmm.
If you have listened, if you're a student of history, you know that the only thing that stands between war and peace is democracy.
Yes.
Democracy is that wall that separates war and peace. Because those two forces are often in a natural phenomenon, often at rival with each other. I'm a student of religion. I know that even in heaven there was war.
Oh yeah.
And that war was followed by that what preceded what preceded that war was peace, and then what ended that war was peace. What am I trying to say? Not to be too professorial about this thing, because sometimes we try to intellectualize things a whole lot.
Yeah, too much. You got to break it down for the common man.
Yeah, you get lost in translation,
Yeah.
But what I heard the Honorable Darius Dillon saying today, it is the very, very dictates of democracy.
Mm-hmm.
It is the essence of senators and representatives. This is what happened in the forums in Greece. If we all we swallow that what they call it, sweet cooked food that Greece is the birthplace of democracy.
Oh yeah.
We swallow that thing, but because I know democracy was not. Greece was not the birthplace of democracy, because I know my grandmother taught me in Kerabutan, explained democracy to me, and I know what democracy was in an African village.
Right.
But my point I'm saying here, that's what democracy is. When you have people who will speak truth to power, people who will say it as it is,
Mm-hmm.
people who will give an option that is wrapped in the notion of alternatives. Either you take this or you take that. If you don't take this, that's what you get. That's what life is all about.
Right.
The compromise of decision you made. So the senator today is saying to our brothers in power, democracy is the only thing that prevents war. Nothing else. Not fear by intimidation or trepidation, not anything, not suppression. Not coercion.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing. Only democracy. And enhances democracy. So I'm glad that we finally have a voice who is speaking out and who is calling it as it is. That these things that are happening in our country today, it is not only just people will say, oh, when the only job we are can be strong or job we are. No, this thing is not about we are.
Nope.
This thing is about the heartbeat of our country. And yes, it may not happen in Ellington, it may not happen you may claim that it did not happen in Ellington, you may claim that it did not happen in Jesus Junior Rawata while we are town. No, it happened. It's just that it is happening differently now.
Mm-hmm.
Because the world no more is a separate, isolated villages. Countries are no more isolated villages. Information is just at our fingertips. We are a global village. We are one family. So the senator spoke today. He spoke not for his own. He spoke on behalf of the people. The people of Liberia will not allow their voices to be suppressed. Will not allow their votes, their rights to be taken away. Will not allow anyone post-George Weah or the coming leaders that are coming. This is a strong warning to the coming leader. So I'm happy that the senator said what he said. He just spoke our hearts and the hearts of the people.
Oh man, Prince.
Franchise the people can enjoy that everybody equal, are equal different. In every democracy is the right to vote.
Yeah.
That's why every single man, rich or poor, noble or ignoble, criminal or pope or priest, have only one vote, and that vote must count. And if it doesn't count, then the process that our founding father put in our constitution, that said the power is inherent in the people. They have the right, they not privilege or right to reform and alter their government if that government threatens the well-being and the safety. So what the senator is saying is what it is. The people will go out and massively vote. So if anybody thinks will want to take away the right of the that will force another pathway to peace, so that our democracy can be equitably distributed, so that no one person, no one people, or one group of people can be the one that will enjoy the democracy that people died for, that people gave their lives for, that people put their lives on the line and Rex for. Look at the Rex Larry Tupa. What's happening to him?
Yeah.
Can you imagine that Jefferson Kochi then will come today and George Weah then, who are all the time having fun and enjoying their lives and disabusing and mismanaging the resources. People were dying during the war from starvation, hunger, but because the Liberian people had some glamour of belief that they were going to bring a transformation and change, and allow them to be able to take full the mantle of leadership, they will come today and think that they can use intimidation. I only work on Ellen Johnson Sirleaf. When Ellen Johnson Sirleaf don't understand, will not take, will succumb to intimidation.
Well, matter of fact, Prince. If I were to put the thing in perspective, even Madam Sirleaf, it's based on who she has projected herself to be, that she wanted to be the mother of pluralistic democracy. So she demonstrated some level of tolerance on the open. But I can tell you that if that is the yardstick they are using, that we were able to hold Madam Sirleaf fit, because yes, sometimes some of them are calling that moment in our history as the struggle. Maybe the struggle is inherent in the fact that they were not in power to enrich themselves. So for them, that is the struggle. But what we refer to in political terms as the struggle was an actual oppression that was meted against the people, the proponents of democracy, like the Alari Tokwas of the world, the Mitchell, the Dempster Yala, and then all of these people who were in the trenches to make sure that we'll usher this moment where we'll have pluralistic democracy. But most of them tend to abuse some of this terminology. But I think they understand the veracity of Liberians when it comes to demanding their rights, especially in a government that they have come to resonate with as a no good government. This government is in it for itself. So the only thing that interests them is how to prolong themselves in power, and definitely they would use all kinds of unconventional means. So my brother, between you and myself, I love to have you in studio. I like to pay that return obligation, because I remember when you had your program, you used to invite me. We used to sit down and talk. But moments have changed. Maybe you are in a different role. But continue. I mean, you are guided. Go ahead. Prince, are you there?
Yeah, and yes, General. Thank you so much. It's a privilege for me, and I'm honored to be even here, even on the phone with you. And at any time, if life and other things permits, I will be honored to come in the studio with you, and so we can discuss this thing and try to look deeper into these things, try to at least encourage and educate our people. A lot of our young people, not the one back home, even the very one that are in the United States, because they have lost that opportunity. I mean, that to be able to fully have a grasp about not only just the politics of Liberia, but the dynamics that is driving that country. So most of them don't even have a clue. They just they try to emotionalize things. They try to intellectualize it, and then they will forget that what Bill Clinton said. You remember one time there was an interview with Bill Clinton.
Mm-hmm.
About
Mr. Weir,
politics.
Yeah.
And he said something. He said something very phenomenal. He said that the thing about Liberian people, they are always engaged with their politics. He said, I give them that credit. Liberians have always been engaged with their politics, even more so than Americans. And Liberian knows what they want. And when they know what they want, they go after it.
Yep.
And when it does not serve them well, they will move on to another person.
Exactly.
And that's what's happening now. Liberian people wonder we are, because we are the soul of Liberian people. We are the people are always hopeful, they're always optimistic and pessimistic sometimes, but they always know what they want. And if you don't deliver to them, they will move on.
Yeah.
The Liberian people already move on. John Weir is just a leaking bucket now. And if they make any attempt, look, Ellen did it, so we got to do it. Look, Ellen only got away with this thing because of the time at the time. So is the time. So where the time at the time, how Ellen can get away with this thing. But if we were Ellen in power now, Ellen would have been facing the same wrath of the Liberian people.
Mm-hmm.
You and I, because we have a platform now, we have a voice. It's not like we got to go on radio station now to express our difference and our grievance and our dissenting views. We don't have to go on radio station anymore. Nobody got to invite me to LBS or give somebody a little money here. They don't know. I can just whip up my phone and I can get my dissenting view on anything.
Yeah, nobody has monopoly. Yes, indeed. Nobody has monopoly over any platform anymore. I mean,
no.
I mean your phone, your cell phone can become a broadcast instrument. Yes, I agree. Yeah. It's just that you just have to. It is
not a new phenomenon.
No.
It has always been the case. We always used. There were the progressives. There was the Matthews. There were Topa Nantipote. They are the new Topa Nantipote, the new Matthews, the new progressives that would not allow anything to go. Well, I'm guaranteeing you let me add to what Darius Dillon said, and I will say it to you again, and I will say it clear. It's George Weir and his cronies and crooks and criminals mess with the December and the 2023 election. I can guarantee you that yes, it will be the conclusion of George Weah presidency in Liberia. And let me tell you, this is not a threat. No, it's not a threat. It is the dictates of democracy.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a threat. And no bloods will share in Monrovia. Is that thing that we're going to give people arms and send them in the bushes? No. We already are armed. We're armed with the truth. We're armed with the power of the voice of the people.
Mm-hmm.
And this time around, there will be no gifts because we already know who the criminals are. There will be no checkpoint because we already know who the people who are destroying our fabric of our democracy.
Right.
There will be no, innocent people dying. Only the guilty. Dying in the sense, not in the sense of physical death, in the sense of the depth of their ambitions, the depth of their aspiration, and the greed, and the corruption. Because we will go for them, and we will arrest them, and we'll put them on trial, and they will serve jail time, and they will be able to take back that which they have stolen from the country. You know what happened to Yahya Jammeh, right?
Oh yeah.
Yahya Jammeh is feeding the full weight.
Yeah.
All the property and things he bought, he hid in places, they are now getting it back. So we have nothing they can do. I know a lot of government officials. I know almost 5 different government officials that I know personally. I know the property they got in the United States, the home they buy, and the people they buy, the property in the name. So when they buy in the name of friends, whether it's the cousins, aunts, brothers, they buying property in the name. You can't tell me you are in America pushing cartoons like myself, and your brother all of a sudden get a job in Liberian government, and you are able to buy a $500,000 house in the United States here.
Wow.
Then we'll have to ask the IRS to look to that, where you got that money from. Whether you're living in project or you're renting, you're living from month to month. So they can do all of that. They can funnel the money, they can channel this money, they can do whatever, they can be on the street sharing money. The Liberian people will take their money. It is the Liberian people money. Look, these guys, I don't know what they're thinking and what they're depending on. Even the bravest of all brave Liberians, Charles Gange Taylor, a Kim Mota in Monrovia, Charles Gange Taylor had to get on the radio and apologize to the Liberian people. Can you imagine that?
Yep.
Because Charles Gange Taylor felt the weight of the crown. They say, heaven lies the crown of those who wear it. You can sit on the street and be talking. I myself who talking yesterday now on the radio. It's a different thing when authority are in authority and have to take care of the well-being and the welfare of people. And depend on my safety and security depend on those people. It's a different ballgame. When character comes into play, that's when integrity comes into place. That's when sincerity, and then that's when you count equity and equality comes into place. Equitable distribution of wealth and power. So all I think they're doing over there, they're putting their lives, the very lives of the people. I always tell my crew people, I said, the council of the crew elders, y'all call George Weah, y'all talk to George Weah before he damaged the name of we the crew people. Before he do to us what they did to the crown people. Before he do to the Congo people what Tobo did to the Congo people.
Right.
Before he do to the Madingo people, what Apache commander did to the Madingo people.
All
right,
I made it clear.
Let's see if we can.
What are Django Lantom?
Hold on a second.
What are Jamin Lantom? Honorable Dillon.
Have this discussion, and I know people will call and have a dissenting view. I will want the opportunity to be able to make clarity and clarification, because sometimes Liberian people, when they read a line, we don't read between the line.
All right, Prince. It's always a pleasure, my man.
So I will stand by.
Okay.
If you want me to call by, I'll call by. But you want me to release the line, I can release the line.
Don't worry. I think we do have other lines open. If somebody wants to come in for real, even to bring them on video. What's wrong with this? Hang on a second. Let me see. My stuff just quit on me here. Anyhow, I was just looking at Senator Dillon in studio, the 50-50 T-Max lecture show today, and just in case you missed that interview, it was a rich interview. And then a caller had called in asking about the outcome of the December 8th election, and Dillon stood up. I was just saying, I like politicians who are brave. The game of politics is one of the most untrustworthy professions, but almost certainly people who have braved the storm to go after these kinds of moments. And I always say, he may project himself as intolerant, an authoritarian, a demagogue, a dictator, any name you want to call somebody who takes power into their own hand and forget about the tenets of democracy. But Mr. Weir is not a fighter, he's not a soldier, he's not recalcitrant. He may be intolerant because by nature that's who he is. He carried that on within Lone Star and his own lifestyle. But when you enter into the political atmosphere, Liberians, when they demand their rights, no force of a dictator can stop them. We saw that with Samuel Doe, who thought, even Talbot, with all the establishment, where people were brutalized, coming up to the Talbot regime, then the Doe regime, then Taylor. Madame Salif herself had her share of the recalcitrant attitude. None of those people survived the fray. And if Madame Salif, as democratic as she pretended to be, these people thought those moments were a struggle for them. I always say the reason why it was a struggle for them was because they were not empowered to enrich themselves. Now that they're there, that's not what we refer to again as the struggle. The Liberian struggle for democracy has a long route. Today, like I said, I heard, let me see if I can stop this maybe. I'm not sure what this is not showing. Let me bring somebody else here. Just give me a moment. Let me see if I can find. This is Professor.
Say, Prof, you care to tell us what the main issues are?
The main issues are these. Number one, the Liberian government is drastic to remain in power after having demonstrated incapacity, inability to lead. Knowing that the population is very fed up, is very angry with the ineffectiveness of the government is taking drastic measures to enrich itself and to once more cajole the population in order to prolong its stay in power. The announcement that a war pandemic had entered Liberia worried everybody. Meanwhile, it became clear to us that it was a threat of this government which began by stealing money in our country to take advantage of that situation and enrich itself. For that very reason, the government has taken all kinds of actions that are unimaginable. The government has taken actions to increase the political statistics on the amount of human beings that are being affected by the pandemic. The government has proceeded in ways that are making it very, very difficult for most Liberians to even believe that the coronavirus is in this country. From the actions of party leaders, CDC partisans, and the ruling party, and the violation of the health regulations of this country, it is clear to most people that the government is using the situation in order to enrich itself. My situation is that I was scheduled to travel to the United States. I was informed that it was a requirement that I take the COVID-19 test. In summary, on the 6th of June, I took this test. On the 8th, I inquired about the results, and I was informed that my results got missing in the lab. I said, from the time I was growing up in Liberia, and the many countries I've lived in this world, all over Africa, Europe, the Americas, my result never got lost in any lab. So what kind of lab is this? If it is happening to me, I believe it is happening to other Liberians. And as long as it is happening to other Liberians, it becomes an issue. An issue which you cannot just look to Alaro by itself. You have to look at the system, the history of the country, the arrangement of the politics, and the management of the state. So I redid the test on the 8th of July on Wednesday. My flight was on early Saturday morning. I had to be at the airport, therefore, on Friday evening. I persuaded the authorities. I insisted that I needed my result as a requirement to travel. I was given clearance that I am COVID-19 negative, free. So on my way to the airport, I received a text message that they were very sorry that there was a mistake in the lab. But a lab that first just lost my result and then gave me mixed result after a second test is an unreliable lab. And the reason is that the government of Liberia is not taking the fight against COVID-19 seriously. The government is lying about much of the statistics. That is why I insist that every statistics coming out of Liberia is possibly manipulated and should be treated with caution. My concern, the government ought to use the situation to improve our health system. But the government is using the system to discourage health workers. I was informed by health workers that they had not taken pay for more than 3 months, and that they were doing this as a matter of professional obligation. That one said to me that if we do not come to work, the day you decide to stay away, it may be your brother or sister or mother or friend that will come to the clinic, to the hospital for treatment. It is possible that person could die because you are not present. That was the logic provided me. But my concern is that the government is not taking seriously the improvement of the services to the Liberian people. This government came to power because the Liberian people are hungry. They are thirsty for change. And not only that, they have insatiable appetite for change. When you see a situation like that in a country, you have to be very careful with the people. The people appear to be laid back. Whenever they are provoked further, you can have devastating consequences. So it is important, as suggested earlier last year, let this government sit down with stakeholders and take advantage of the goodwill of the international community to rethink everything. The reduction of the problem in Liberia to a single man called George Weah is only less fundamental a problem. The system that keeps the health system down is our real enemy.
Professor.
The enemies of the state that are presently ignoring the need to improve the health system are our true enemy. We fight systems.
Professor, COVID-19 is not just only in Liberia. It's something that is all around the world. Why would you say the government is not taking COVID-19 seriously? What have you seen? What do you know that we don't know for you to say the government of Liberia is not taking COVID-19 seriously, especially when funds have been allocated to help combat COVID-19 in Liberia? Professor?
The problem is this. Not only has the Weah administration privatized the state, it has criminalized the state. We are in the era of primitive accumulation. the government is taking advantage of any possibility to enrich the highest officials. But this is the threat of undemocratic governments that pretend they are democratic. This is the threat of authoritarian governments. They control the legislature, they control the judiciary, they intimidate the population, they threaten the population, they brutalize the opposition in the name of power. But whenever they seek power, their major objectives are to concentrate power and wealth at the center of the administration. This government started the announcement about the arrival of COVID-19 in Liberia with trickery, with lies. When Nathaniel Blammer was accused of not cooperating with government because he had COVID-19, no sooner was the announcement made that COVID-19 had entered Liberia through Nathaniel Blammer that he was dismissed from his job. They said he was suspended, but that suspension amounted to a dismissal because up to today we don't know what the relationship between his job and ailment is. He didn't manufacture that sickness, even if he had it. But every little ailment in Liberia now is projected as COVID-19 related. We didn't have malaria here before. We didn't have typhoid here before. We didn't have headache here before. We didn't have cough here before. But everybody knows the signs and symptoms of COVID-19. Everybody knows the severity. The problem here is that mockery is being made of a situation that has brought the world down to its knees. And global solidarity is a requirement for fighting a pandemic like this. But Liberia is not prepared to participate in this fight. As far as we are concerned, accusations of the mishandling of resources, state resources, money is coming from the outside, even for the improvement of health, are sources of heavy worry. The reason why I say we are fighting a system, even before George Weah came to power, I did a research for Oxfam America on American aid effectiveness. So I insisted that there was a need for me to know the quantity, the quantum of aid coming in. And yes, I was giving all the billions of dollars I was moving into different institutional arrangements. When I got to USAID informed me that the health ministry had more money, had been giving more money than was USAID. And that was confirmed when I interviewed a deputy minister in the health ministry. I'm sorry that I will not call name. So why is it that in a system where there's need for regularizing, for improving the health system, for giving uniformity to the health system, you have more money than you can use? So what do you want to do with the balance of the money? The situation is the same today. It is a system. It is an issue. It is not possible to look at a case of Alari Tukpa and concentrate exclusively on the case of Alari Tukpa in order to address this problem. However, it is possible that through Alari Tukpa, awareness is being created about the flaws in the system. To solve an issue, as I said earlier, you got to look at the economy, the politics, the history, the culture. It is a structural problem.
Well, Prof, when you said Liberia is not prepared as it relates to COVID-19, some might say you are missing the point there, because look at where we are now from the first case with Blammer. You know, look at the death toll. Look at the ratio. I interviewed Toba Yonsua, and he said the healthcare system is a lot more better than what it used to be. I also interviewed Dr. Kete, who is the chief medical officer of Liberia. They are not saying what you just said. Now, bring us up to speed. Describe the medical facility where people go to do the testing in Liberia.
Before I do that, let me say this.
I do not always believe what I hear or read. And I advise my students to do the same, not to believe just everything they hear or read. It is a dangerous thing to do so. When you go to the testing center, in the first place, much of the information they make available is not real. I was first informed that there was a testing center at Topman High School. I go there. No, they are JFK. I go to JFK. No, SKD Stadium. I go to SKD Stadium. In the waiting place, if you ever did your research, it's all mud, it's all water, and you can't subject sick people to that kind of abuse. The disrespect of the Liberian people in the fight against COVID-19 is unimaginable. Why is it that the government first started by buying trucks of rattens rather than paying attention to purchasing personal protective equipment for health workers and getting medication? Why is it that the government started to invade homes and brutalize people in the name of fighting COVID-19? Why is it that this government does not respect the laws of this land? So the CDC party is above the law. CDC can organize mass rallies, marches in the streets. As a matter of fact, therefore, when I declare myself finally COVID-19 free on that Saturday, I'm going to move into the streets of Monrovia with my men, and I'll go to my party headquarters to make my press conference.
Now, do you feel safe in Liberia now, given what has transpired and all ongoing between you and the government? Please let us know your concerns, if any.
The Liberian people are not safe. Comparatively, a lot of people are safer than most people.
What and what's that?
Sorry?
Why are you safer than most people?
I'm saying the question of the security of the state.
Okay.
Which is the protection of government officials, their safety, and what have you, is being considered more important than the state of security. Okay. The state of security has to do with attention to the basic needs of human beings: housing, health, education, agriculture, community development, water, electricity, so that when you produce or create the enabling environment for people to be able to live in a dignified way, the government is safer. Rather than doing so, the government is much more rather prepared to improve the security environment against itself. Meanwhile, it is more vulnerable because no attention is being paid to the state of security, which has to do with the basic interests of the people. A proper government is not well advised to proceed in a way in which this government is proceeding. This government is the direct opposite of the concerns that are raised by administrators when they take government to a proper operation. The problem, when people take power and assume that because they have been given state power, then they own the resources of a country and they can engage in arbitrary rule, that becomes very dangerous. We come from war. We are battle tested. I've always known that the country is unsafe in general, but Larry Tucker will never be chased out of Liberia. This is what they did to my son, Henry Costa. This is what they did to my son, Martin Coley, who they are chasing around the world. This is what they did to my daughter, Justina Taylor, who they are killing slowly while she's alive. So there's no security for anybody. What about those 4 people who are being attacked by armed robbers? People who emerged out of war, homeless, on drugs. They were given a war that they got addicted to. Why is it that there's so much rape in the land? What is the government doing about this? SGBV is a serious matter. Liberia is not prepared to even address the question of children who walk the streets in a day, attacking the population, vulnerable women, sleep in the street at night, from graveyard to graveyard. We need a program to address these concerns. It is an issue. We can pay attention to particular children who are related to us or particular family members. That is not enough. We need a realistic national program, and there are Liberians of goodwill all around the world, even within this country. For example, I provide training for a group called Big Sisters. They are all in the street, doing their best to take girls, children, boys out of the street. But that is a limited agenda. It is the failure of the state in Liberia, in Africa in general, that has made it possible for the international community to pay attention to NGOs, CSOs. But the money that should be coming to the state, the corrupt state, is being diverted because the state is untrustworthy. We cannot continue to go on like this. So it is impossible at this age for me to run away from scums.
Now, Prof, you can't bring a real change from on the outside. You have to be within. You said, and quote, that hats were set on fire in Bapolo when you announced that you were going to contest the senatorial seat during the upcoming elections in December. And ever since you said that, the government got scared. And this is where your trouble began. You care to comment on that?
This is where the trouble of the government began. Because I theorized when this government came to power that a dangerous dictatorship had appeared in Liberia, and that there was a death sentence of democracy. So what is happening to me is not strange. Yes, it is true. All hearts were set ablaze in Bapolo County when I announced. So the government is attacking me not because it is interested in my health, not because it is interested in the health of the Liberian people. You think if this government was serious, I said I will remain in my house and in my compound, gave me 4 health workers or even some security people to come and monitor me, and I will pay them $100 after the 2 weeks that they will be here observing me. Why did the government refuse? What special interest does the government of Liberia have in my health to want to isolate me? Pretend that they gave me VIP treatment. I love a VIP, man. I'm a public educator and a farmer. When I want VIP treatment, I go to my farm. You understand me? Every day they threaten. They will come and take me. You are able to come and take me. But you cannot force me against my will. If I wanted the laws, I would choose which laws to obey or violate. This is a state of lawlessness. There is need for rethinking of the judiciary, of the legislature, of the executive branch of government. These 3 branches of government, the theory is that they are divided powers, but share functions. There are actions that the executive branch of government can take, where it has to take it in cooperation, in collaboration with the approval of the legislature. There are actions that the legislature can take, where it has to do it in cooperation with the executive branch of government. Nevertheless, the imperial presidency is characteristic of a system like this. Efforts are made for the executive branch of government to control the judiciary and subordinate the legislature. But it is better for a progressive man, a development-oriented mind, a Pan-African revolutionary to go into the legislature, because there you have independence. You can choose to compromise it, or you can choose to stand up to the system. So, to work in the executive branch of government is much more complicated. No bad day whatsoever. however progressive you are, can enter a system like this and reform it from within, and change it from within by working for the executive branch of government. You have to conform.
Well, Prof, you said Hajj was set ablaze in Babudu County. Granted, Larry Tupa is an icon when it comes to the progressive. You did a lot of things that people growing up remember. Now, do you also realize that there are others who are contesting in Bapolu, that the former president pro tem, Jala, I'm told he's also contesting, and originally from Lofad now, Bapolu. So tell us about your chances in winning the hearts of the people, because they remember you then, you did what you had to do. But the people of today, they don't look back. They look at how can they be fair. Do you have rest to feed them? Can you do for them today? Financially, what do you stand against Ahmad Jala, who was once president pro tem, that I'm told is contesting in Bapolu? What are your chances?
If you properly describe Ahmad Jala, he was an ineffective president pro tem. He is an ineffective senator. He is a liar. I carry a message. I don't require so much money to win elections in Bapolu County. They are from different political institutions. What is their agenda? What is their agenda? To lie to our people and promise them what they cannot provide? No. This is the reason why the state is afraid of Alaro Tupa. Because they know that I work on the minds of human beings. That I've laid down my life for our people before. And I'm prepared to continue to stand up to these scums. We fought the military government and brought it down. We fought the one-party state and brought it down. The effort now is to defeat the one-party dominant state. It is impossible at this stage to decide that other parties will not function and only a party is going to be in a political arena. The chances in electoral democracy of freedom of association, freedom of movement, freedom of assembly, the honest casting of ballots will face some challenges under this government. There will be interruption of freedom of assembly, and there will be interference with the honest counting of ballots. If we do not put this government in its proper lane, you will experience some more disaster in Liberia politically.
Now, are you afraid that we are going to see something close to the one-party democracy? Something that you fought very hard for during your early days from the progressive. You helped give birth to multi-party democratic system in this country. Are you afraid that we are headed in that direction?
I'm not afraid, because in fact it is impossible for this government to create a one-party dominant state. There will be attempts. But you see, that is why we heighten the contradictions. Because when contradictions are not resolved in society, that society will not develop. Before a baby crawls, it has to get sick. Before a baby walks, it has to get sick. It is a civil society. So we're not afraid of these contradictions. In fact, we sharpen the contradictions. And that is why I'm standing up to them, to highlight the plight of the Liberian people in the fight against COVID-19. I am not afraid of them. I will not be afraid of them. I'm a humble man. But why should you provoke a man only because you see that he's humble? Even though I'm humble, I am dangerous when it comes to fighting for the interests of my people. No compromise. No compromise. I've said over and again that this time, it is their time to run away from me. I will put them in the state of emergency. Since they insist on putting the Liberian people and the radical advocacy community in a state of emergency, so that there's no good thing here. From one day to the other, from one week to the other, 1 month to the other, what they do is this. They create a scene to distract the people from thinking about the real issues in Liberia. The real issues are that This government is incapable of paying attention to health. This government is a criminal government. This government will not reform because it's incorrigible. However well-meaning you are, you cannot help this government to change. You cannot help this government to change. So we have to make them understand.
How do you bring about the change, Prof, when it is an established fact that all the election commissioners, including the new NEC chairperson, they're all citizens? Do you think the December senatorial election will be transparent and fair?
I do not think so.
And what's that?
We have if they insist on making it unfair through the dishonest thing in the counting of ballots, we got to make them realize that there will be consequences for their actions. Period.
Okay. Any issues or concerns with the CPP that you care to talk about?
No, not now.
Okay. What do you make of the current government of Liberia thus far?
All right. Well, that was the voice of Professor Alari Tokpa. You heard him there clearly, Prince. Sound. Came across just uniformly with what Senator Darius Dillon was saying in studio yesterday on T-Max Gelata 50-50. And this is how politicians talk. That's why I have problem with politicians that, the mixture of people in CPP. They're too clean. You can be fighting, to unseat an undemocratic baby that is maturing into a beast. The way sometimes we tend to be, we have too much. Politics is a contact sport. I always say it's just like soccer game. You can't go play soccer. You don't expect to come out and not being flashed or not making some tight contact with people. If you think this is the corporate world, or you think this is the pulpit where you go and preach the sermon, you are in the wrong profession. And this is why some of us have not invested much confidence on the CPP. We're looking for individuals who are really carrying these type of messages, because this government, no amount of clean guy or stiff neck, as Bob Marley would say, you're a fool when you think you're cool. No amount of coolness and tranquility or maturity will send a stronger message in the spines of these people. Alari Tokpa said it right. Darius Dillon said it right. And these are the kind of political giants that some of us have long yearned for, especially since the advent of this government. This government has not seen real opposition. But gradually they are pushing the people against the wall. Some folks have really not. There are people within our CPP that I would say, they just like George Weah, they were not there when the real hoopla took place in the Republic of Liberia. All of these years, all this decade, 3 to 4 decades of real, political farce. Most of these people were out and about. And so they're coming out. Liberia they left behind that was stable, probably is what they see today. All but the last 12 years when Madame Salif was there, probably, there were acrimony. Mr. Taylor never had a piece of governance because he himself came out to be ruthless. Of course, that's not strange. Going back to Samuel Doe, that's the same. The only time Liberian people saw a small peace was probably during Madame Salif. Even at that, the economy was shabby. Money went in, and people just became cronies and thieves overnight, and some of them have amassed huge wealth. They're only coming back now to spend it to gain more power. But so you need people who will stand at the checkpoint of these people to make sure that you set up a blockade, or you redirect their attention to where they're coming back from. No amount of being in bed with Madam Salif to inertia her power to nurse her, stolen wealth or asset. No amount of caressing people like Benani Ure will make any difference. The real difference of a political change will come from these loose alliances, the like of Alari Tokpa, the like of Senator Dillon, and to some extent, other few individuals who are trying to bring their voice up. I believe his life might be endangered, but I can tell you, it's just a matter of time before they let him alone. When you run away from people like George Weah, who himself has never seen any of something they call a political struggle, to me, in my book, you're a coward. If I were in Liberia and grounded there as a voice of the people, no amount of terrorizing me will work. We know what we did in our own weaker ways to usher this democracy we have today. None of these cowards that are in power, the Malba Molu, the whoever you can name them, these are cowards. These were never in the trenches, military or political. Never. So I enjoy Alari, and I can sit down and listen to this all day. By the way, he was the chairman for my department when I defended my political science thesis, and by then I was doing Liberian political history, and he's aware of that. So I understand to what extent you cannot intimidate Prof. Alari Togba. You can't. You understand? This guy has no fear. This was the guy who should have been executed during the eve of his execution was when the coup occurred. So his life is only secured in the hands of God. No amount of cowards like George Weah and his group of low-lifers will threaten him. So I like to hear him speak. There's some boring politicians we encountered, and they have not impressed me. When that militancy in me, comes up, I don't see those kinds of Liberian politics is not about acting like a fancy baby in a cradle. Hell no. When you have these kinds of moments where people write, firstly, the same thing they did to Cummins, who thought he was being law-abiding. How can you respect the laws of a group of people who don't respect the very laws that brought them to power? Self-quarantine. So Alari is going to declare himself quarantine-free. He's going to come out. Go there and go get him arrested, or go there and go scuffle. Sometimes that's how you test the water to see whether or not, because they've gone to the conclusion we embezzled $25 million. Nothing came out of it. We ate $16 billion, which they are now bringing out in the public in bundles to share because it's political. It's time to campaign, and nothing came out of those two events. A lot of things have happened. George Weah is emboldened himself by building different kinds of estate in the eyes of our people. Like I said, the guy is insensitive because he was not there in the first place to feel the pain of Liberians. So he doesn't really know what that means. When he was outside, like most Liberians left in the 1990s, he was out there sitting on wealth and having fun. So his life experience, his lived experience, as we say in social science, it's not the same as the refugee child who was raped or who walked miles, kilometers to get out of the free world and finds or found himself in a refugee camp. He doesn't have those kinds of experiences. So to him, the world, he sees it from a different lens. And I think Alari Tokpa and others are reawakening those moments. And, people like those are deadened. And in the sense that they don't know exactly what it is people were agitating about, because imagine you just came and everybody said this is a soccer legend. Your live experience is that you were idolized and people rarely see you that way still, but they don't know that they've lost it, Prince. Are you still there, Prince?
Yeah, Connor, and this is the thing about politics, especially our African politics. And it's as clear as a day, you know. That if you go into African politics, there have to be two dynamics. Either you have to be driven by something, or you are driving something.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if you are driving your own ambition, your own aspirations, then you will see that too often you will not rise up to the occasion when the occasion presents itself. But Alaya Topa is one of the quintessential African politicians that always rises to the occasion.
Mm-hmm.
Alaya Topa does not manipulate the occasion, but he rises up to the occasion.
Right.
He been in that country, and things have been happening. And he been watching and listening and hoping that the seed they have sown, this thing will be able to manifest itself, and that people who have the opportunity to enjoy the harvest from their sweat and blood will be able to learn and be able to cultivate and make sure that this multi-party democracy that people are using now as a stepping stone to rise to power, and sometimes for their own self-aggrandizement and wealth. But at least the one thing you can do is to respect the fundamental principle on which this multi-party democracy is built. And that fundamental principle is for you to have at least some decency or some sense of at least conscience to know that there are things that you just can't do. You can't just do. So we see Alaya Topa now rising to the occasion because there is a void. There is a void in our country.
There's a doldrum, yeah,
There's
silence.
a legislative voice.
Yeah.
There's a legislative void which Darius Dillon is trying to fill,
Mm-hmm.
and trying to energize and mobilize people to young people to come up and create that exuberant nature that he has to be able to stand up and make a difference. But then not only a legislative voice, there is also a political voice, void.
Void, yeah.
And today I'm glad Alaya Topa is filling that void, and today he's stepping up.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they say there's a common saying that they say that some people are, power, trust to opportunity, trust to them, and so some people are trust upon opportunity. This, what is happening now, imagine what's going to happen if nobody speaks up. If everybody just say, oh, you know what, let's just be patient and just wait. Oh, let's just do this. Let's just allow it to go. Everything these guys are doing are deliberate.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a coincidence.
Mm-hmm.
They are deliberate. And not only just deliberate, there's a blatant disregard for the very basic rule of law.
Prince, I think the people
just rising to the occasion.
The people have defined the playing field. You know, us military people, or even people who play sport, they go the first 5 minutes. You assess the environment and see how likely you will win that particular tournament if it's a game. But for us military people, you survey the field and you have a feel of the surrounding neighbors. Environment to be able to see if you can set up a command post from where you can actually dislodge your enemy, right? So that assessment has been done by this government. They found that there's a certain big void that they can manipulate lots of room We didn't know about um, Old Man Buckeye and Mr. Weir in bed until uh, he stepped on the toe, until the ambassador stepped on the toe of Mr. Weir, being who he is, a childish guy, a guy who probably does not have the level of maturity that it takes anybody who is the leader of a nation to have. That man reminds me of Trump. Trump does anything for you. Don't step on him. He will say it out here. We didn't know that they were in bed until that unfaithful day when he made those revelations. So in my heart, that's a moment of distrust right away. If this is the man that we consider the enemy of our time, because remember now, he started the enmity. He declared Liberians who disagree with him as enemy of the state. He didn't even know what that meant. You understand? Yet you are in bed with him, and as going as low as they can, hand out from him. And that's why I doubt on Mr. The ambassador's ability to even deliver Liberia when he cannot even deliver himself after being vice president for 12 years. You come out and someone is giving you a handout. I'm not saying that you should have stolen, but you should have set up lots of contact. My friend, if you made me the vice president of a nation, I'm not just going to go sit down in a garage and be parked. I will really, really make myself known to the world. Joe Biden can never be complained of not having that exposure, having served with Barack Obama. That is why you serve. I'm not saying go steal, make yourself wealthy, but there are lots of things you could have done to position yourself for a day like today. You understand? The same goes for Cummins. He's completely a coward. He's very intimidated. Even when he talks.
And more so with reference to
Joe.
What you're saying about as it relates to the vice president. There is no bigger puppet than the office of the vice president.
Oh yeah.
And the fact that you serve in such a capacity.
Yeah.
That I've often wondered why doesn't he speak up? He's a quiet person.
No.
Did you hear what Martin Luther King said?
No.
Martin Luther King said it's not the lashes or the beating or the prosecution of his enemy that suppresses him or that hurts him.
It's silent.
Or that offends him. It is the silence of his friends.
Yes.
With everything that's happening, Mr. Barker is like the elders of the elders of the elders of public service or politics, if I'm putting into that category. And he is saying nothing, absolutely nothing. He's not using his voice. He's not coming over to speak to the people, to conscientize the people, to call upon the government, to warn the government, even somebody say, oh, maybe he's doing it. I'm not going to listen. Whenever there is no information, there's always room for speculation.
Oh yeah.
And since there is no information, I will speculate as much as I can.
We can
adequate information.
Of course, we can yell and taunt at others, the likes of the Henry Custer and the likes of Martin Colley, but these individuals are doing things within their own weaker way. But those who are in the court and branded as opposition politicians, those who are taking the leadership of our country, it's not just to gang out somewhere and hang out there and be silent. Now, do you expect somebody like Benin Ayuwe to speak against his fellow brother, his fellow Masonic brother, George Weah? They're in bed. What happened? It's just that he has not stepped harder on George Weah's toe. You will hear a lot of stuff that he's doing, because remember, this was the same Ben and I, we was going to take a few bags of rice to during the hype of the pandemic. It's still ongoing, of course, and and to and he even promised to build some, you know, real estate out there, you know, for his people and so on and so forth. So there are bigger things happening there that is compelling these people, or that are compelling these people to remain silent. We don't know. But remember, if you have nothing to lose, like the Larry took, I remember when Mr. Sawyer was, Dr. Sawyer was appointed interim government. Alara did not condone the rampant corruption that took place. Those people even went to work. They printed their own currency. Alari and those people fell apart because Alari said this was not what we advocated for. Yes, people will say, but when is it going to stop? Well, it's not going to stop for as long as Liberia continues to be like this. I mean, look at what we have today. Is this any reason?
Anybody who asks such a question, there are either two things that are wrong with that person. That person either one selfish, or that person lacks the full scope of what it takes to be to be nationalistic or patriotic. Jerry Rollins today, if there is a Jerry Rollins of Ghana, there is a Larry Tupa of Liberia.
Oh yeah.
When Rollins saw that their country were heading in the wrong direction, when Rollins stepped in, he did an intervention. And then after he felt that the intervention was necessary, he turned the country back over to the people who he felt that the people could lead. Mm-hmm. And then he went back into his barrack and went back doing his normal thing. They gained the repetition of the same thing that he frowned upon what's happening. Rollins said, you know what? Enough is enough. I'm stepping this time around. I will do it myself. I was, and then Rollins. So what my point of comparison is that, not in the sense of literally or directly, but today, Alaya Topa is stepping in because things are going out of control. Maybe people are waiting for blood to be on the street before they start to speak out. Maybe because people are waiting for the city to be burning down before they speak out. But Alaya Topa would not allow that to happen.
Well,
and in fact, that's why I often tell people, I say we would not shed blood in our country like the way you people think. There will be people who will have to die in our country. Just as when somebody kills somebody, you take them to court, you persecute them. If they are guilty, either if there's capital punishment, you either send them to life in prison, or you send them to the electric chair or whatever, hanging or whatever it is. Just it is part of the aspect of a civilized society. It's the same thing now happening in Liberia. People will have to die in Liberia, and not just innocent people. And in fact, I can tell you that innocent people will not die in Liberia. The next wave of change that is taking place, or revolution that is going to take place, I believe that no innocent person will die. Because before you die in that country, you have you face justice. You're not grabbing people and have a kangaroo court, where the military should have a kangaroo court. The people are all surveilling there, how open the military will let somebody do it. And we're not doing that. You have your lawyers. Your lawyer will have, and there will be prosecutors. You go to court, you make your case. And when you're found guilty, if there's capital punishment for that guilt, that capital punishment will be carried out. I often joke with my friend. I say, like the Chinese style, you can be corrupt in China as much as you want to be corrupt. The day you find they catch you for corruption, and you are guilty, as all evidence shows, that next day you can beg, you tie, you go on firing squad.
Yeah.
You're dead. You're dead on that rabbit, DEA. Or DA, whatever it is, you tell that rebel. The same thing will have to happen in Liberia before that country change. You can't have people just. I mean, can you imagine? Excuse me, my God, big kids who are in the refugee camp, who are begging here for food are brave to take bundle of money while people are fighting for jumping in the river just to get a little gas spill of diesel and fighting and putting their lives and setting their health at risk. These kids then get the mind, Jefferson Coach then and Moluba Molu then those guys. Are you serious? Are you serious? To go on the street and take money and put money, bonus of money, and hand it out. Are you serious? What happened to the other people in the local country that don't even have faith in medication? Are you going to go to the local country too and hand out money to them too? Or are you going to do the same way we are there? You going to Popo Beach because who house born in Popo Beach and the whole crew people there, you went build all the houses in Popo Beach. You building houses in Grand Juliet now because the Grand Juliet people support him. Or are you going to do the same way that look, enough has to be enough. It is enough. It's too. I mean, there's one thing to be able to to abuse somebody. It's another thing to be openly abusive about our abuse.
Yeah.
And that's what happened. After abusing the country, the trust of the people. After abusing, then you openly abuse it to the abusers. You openly abusing the people. Openly abusing the people. Walking around with money, sharing money around. That's an offense to our democracy.
I agree. I totally agree with you, my brother.
In yourself.
That's defiance.
That's felony in yourself.
Yeah, it is. It is felony.
That's felony in yourself.
It is. It is.
I came to this country. I came to the United States with a little bit of money in my hand in Providence, Rhode Island. Went to the bank with a couple of $1,000. Opened an account. The people sat me down, gave me coffee, and I'm drinking coffee, thinking that I'm waiting for them to get my book. The people already called the FBI. Where am I coming from with depositing? People go and deposit $100, $200, $500, $600. Why depositing $5,000, $6,000 cash? I have to explain where I get the money from. That's why you call it accountability. That's a civilized country.
Yeah.
Because it prevents child and human trafficking. Those kind of money fuel human trafficking. Those kind of money fuel sex trade. Those kind of money fuel abusive. Look at what happened to my father. He went over there, gave the people liquor, the people drink. The other policeman got drunk until he shot. He blew it. He killed a young woman for nothing.
Yep. And that person is still not facing any kind of.
They gave somebody who the other day, Moriba Modu and also Akara Grace went into the place where the people are struggling with drugs addiction. Gave them money to buy drugs. What do you think people are going to do with the money handed out to them?
Of course.
What do you think they're going to do?
Brings,
that's what the government is for. And we got people sitting over there who are claiming they were the political leaders. Well, they are, because the reason is that because they are not driven, they are not driven by the aspiration of the people. They are driven by their own ambitions, not the aspiration of the people. People that Dillon talk, they talk because they're driven by the aspiration of the people. Look, one time on the same team match show, I don't know if you watch, you've seen it, or I mean perhaps send it to you. Team asked Dillon about the corruption and all those things, how we fight corruption. Dillon said, look, if the people of Liberia today, they say they trust me, and they just give me the power for just 2 weeks. He said it, I can send the recording to you. He said, George, we are in Ellen, and a lot of people walking around will be handcuffed the next day. And he said, it's not because political wish hunt, it's because of accountability.
Of course.
People have to answer for some things.
Well,
people just can't walk free, commit crime and walk free. Accountability. They said, because you're arrested, you ain't handcuffed, does that mean you're guilty? No, it gives you an opportunity to be able to dispel every...
of this country, it is clear to most people
when Dillon said
that the government is using the situation in order to enrich its...
And that's how I support Dillon today.
Well, you know, Prince, that's why I say...
As long as he does the right thing.
Yeah. People will not enjoy... They will not satisfy my quest to see a crime-free nation. Of course, no nation is crime-free. But the level of impunity in Liberia has to be brought down, to a controllable level. And I don't see any of these people who are in bed either with Madam Sirleaf or the status quo making any difference. You should be smarter enough. That's why sometimes the people who are coming out of the George Weah system now want to vehemently oppose him. I say, well, probably if they were also part of that bounty, we'll not hear from them, you know. But
because our society and our politics is not based on merit; it's based on patronage.
Yeah, yeah.
Why you think we changed? Why you think we took our whole capital city? God brought us from across the sea, took us from the land of bondage. We came, we found a place. We said Providence Island, we named it after God. Then the native, our own brother who are resisting, or God persuasively or managed to get better relationship when they invite us onto the mainland and they give us a little place to sit down and settle down. We say thank God for allowing our people to welcome us. We need to pay Christ to put the city of Christ. But we got our slave master, they took $2 and gave it to us. We say we take the name of the city of Christ from the place that God gave us. So we take the slave master name and say we call it Morovia.
Yeah. James
because we are always on patronage, not on marriage.
My man,
the only person today who is trying the merit-based system is Dillon. And Dillon, if he Dillon knows, Dillon and any other Dillon will only survive in Liberia on the merit. Liberia will be a merit-based society. Dillon will end the merit for his good work. If he takes somebody because somebody else, it will be his downfall. Anybody who rise up today and speak up and do the right thing, they will merit the good way. John Weah is only president today because of the narrative, the lies that were sold to the people. The flamboyant of his soccer career and the lies that were sold to the people.
My brother.
Because the people, good people, stood by and did nothing about it. And then the conspiracy to continue to the conspiracy and the patronage too, and help because Ellen Johnson now, she's the treasurer thing now for John Weah because you made John Weah the president. And John Weah, she's untouchable. The one of songs today will walk on jail free.
Well, my brother, that whole cluster there is one that some of us. But let's listen back to Professor Larry Togwaso when as he ends his start. I thought he had quite a bit to offer.
My situation is that I was scheduled to travel to the United States. I was informed that it was a deputy minister in the health ministry. A group of businesses. They are all in the street.
Government of Liberia thus far, in terms of governance, rule of law, the economy, etc.
Justice is on sale. When the economy is good, the politics is good. When the economy is bad, the politics is bad.
Now, it is rumored that you stated that you go on hunger strike if you were forced to be confined at the 14th Military Hospital. Did you make that statement?
In order to assure them that my blood is on their decks, my life is in their hands.
Now, you are known for being a fearless advocate for justice and a revolutionary outcome, among others. Some have argued your statement of going on hunger strike that makes you look weak in the eyes of others.
Yeah.
How do you respond?
I do not need others to define me or interpret me. Apologists of this government will make statements they are detractors, they are surrogates. But that is their business. You know, that is their business.
Now, Prof, by the way, did you fear for your life during the Ellen Johnson Sirleaf's administration? Yes or no? And why?
Absolutely not. Because after we fought dangerous dictatorship, the military bureaucratic state of the Chancellor tyranny, it was clear to me that no other government was capable of intimidating me. If I was not intimidated by Samuel, if I was not intimidated by Chancellor, as a matter of fact, I led the formation of the only political party of the Chancellor. And today, I head the oldest coalition in this country. I organized the New Deal movement. Chancellor was furious, but there's nothing he could do about it because Larry Chupa is Larry Chupa. I'm a dead man on leave, man.
Now, Prof, have you considered supporting any candidate for the 2023 presidential election? If yes, who and then why?
I've considered producing a candidate for the National Democratic Coalition in that election.
And folks, if you just joining us, we have with us tonight the Professor Larry Chupa, and he's our special guest. We still have a few questioning for him. Shortly, we're going to open up the telephone lines. Perhaps you have a few questions for the Prof. Prof, can you rate the performance of the CDC government with a letter grade?
I wouldn't want to be specific in so doing, but I do know that it is an ineffective government and it will be incapable of even making a C if it were in my class, or not even a D.
Now, you said in court that they are afraid that if or when you are elected senator, they will meet the early demise. Now, you know and I know, Prof, that one person cannot turn the Senate around. Darius Dillon, who considered himself the light, is frustrated now. And the last time we heard him calling his colleagues or calling the Senate, you know, what did he say that brought him to ridicule? That the place is rotten and his colleagues are spineless. Now you are saying that when you are, or if you are elected, they are going to meet the early demise. What are you depending on?
I'm depending on theory.
Theory doesn't work.
But there is no good practice without theory.
They have tried, and they have made several attempts.
There is no good practice without theory. We wrote a book on the authoritarian state in Africa. I wrote a chapter on rethinking the Liberian state. And I have an idea of how we can rethink this state.
Again, folks, if you just joining us, he's a man with just a little responses, but again, this is.
All right, Prince. I think I'm about to call this, an end, but you agree with me that tonight, of course, both speakers, meaning Darius Dillon, to some extent, Professor Larry Tukwa, were inspirational, in the sense that these are some of the conscious voices we lost along the way since the advent of the new war political era. We do have folks still running around as being revolutionaries, but we know definitely they don't have those tenets. Those are characteristic. The two individuals, the two gentlemen who spoke, whose audio visual I played today, of course, made the difference. Made brought back that reassurance that we still have people with guts and with wits that can stand any amount of veracity, any government with iron hand. What do you think?
I think that that is where we're gonna have see a turning point in the way things are done and the status quo. I think that it is a necessary good and it is a good trouble. Quoting the word of the late Senator
John Lewis.
It is a good trouble. You know, you if you want to be somebody who is easy talker and cool talker, or what they call an ice cream seller, don't get into politics.
No.
Go be a priest.
Yeah. It's a
go be a pastor or a reverend.
It's a contentious game,
that's
my
why
brother.
I admired Dillon for what he said.
Yep.
And he spoke. Dillon was not speaking for himself.
Nope.
The Dillon I know, the kind of man I know, the kind of respect Dillon has shown. Despite we are this abuse and insult, and their respectfulness to Dillon. We have never called Dillon to even congratulate him up to now. I mean, can you imagine that?
Mm-hmm.
All the way, Dillon still call him my friend, my brother. Reach out to him intellectually for them to work together for the common good of the country. But Dillon spoke today, and he spoke with the aspiration of the people. The people want their voice to matter. The people want their vote to count. The people they're not going to be bought. They've been lied to, and they're not going to be lied to anymore.
Mm-hmm.
But they need a leader, somebody in the face of challenges, because it is a challenge. It's a challenge to be able to speak boldly without fear or trepidation in an environment where you got people, irrational people. A little boy that will walk around here and beat his chest like he saw something. When during the war, you need to watch car for Charles Taylor's son. His own meaningful contribution, and walk around and go fetch girlfriend for Charles Taylor's Chucky Taylor. But we tell and stand up to them, big shit our time, our revolution, no revolution, revolution. It's for your disillusion. The all disillusion of this thing is just something that when you go there, that's it. It takes work. And they don't have the tenacity. They don't have the stamina to work. They don't have it. When I mean work, I don't mean brute physical work. I mean mental work, intellectual work. Well, you can disagree with me, but we stay friends. I saw the picture somebody posted. Ray Ellington, Akara Grace, Maruba Molu, and other people that will sit down with Mo Ali then. They will have beer together and talk together and lecture together. But now you can't even do that. Because when you try to do that, you sit on your own friend, then there is a notion that You conspire against we are, or you the one causing we are not to be successful. Nobody's undermining we are, and this is my final message. And nobody blaming we are for Liberia 1847 problem. No, Liberia had highest problem from 1847 to 2017, and we're not blaming we are for it. We're only holding we are, and based on his promise, and based on what he said he could do. He said he will change the country. He has the solution. He knows how to fix the problem. And then there lies the problem. If he cannot fix the problem, let him not add on to the problem. My grandma used to say, when you enter the Bible and there's an old shit in the camo, if you don't have water to flush it, don't add your new shit on the old shit. Sorry for my expression.
Yeah.
Liberia had highest old shit. Ellen Johnson said this shit in the camo. She left it. If we don't have water to shit in the camo to flush the shit, we are shooting our own shit on the shit. So I'm being brought like that because there is something that is taking place now, and I'm getting to be worried and apprehensive about. Dwayne Johnson said that this real presidency will bring war to Liberia. No, I was not born in America. No, my parents didn't send me out of the country when the war started. No, yes, I refused to fight the war myself, but I lived in the war. I went through all the hunger. I went through the fear. I went through a near-death experience in the war. So I'm not hoping for war to come to Liberia. In fact, I will not allow war to come to Liberia. So anything that will cause, will want to bring war to Liberia, that thing will be dispensable. And the peace of Liberia will be indispensable. So if we are then think, if they're ready, if they're prepared to do whatever it takes to disrupt the peace of Liberia, we have people ready to do whatever it takes to protect that peace. Because this time around, we're not going after you because you're Madingo. We're not going after you because you're Crown. We're not going after you because you're Crew. We're not going after you because your name Weir. We're going after you because you're on the street with a whole 2 bags of money, sharing money to our children who are just addicts, who are hungry, who are abused and being raped and nothing coming for it. We want to know where you get that money from. So we're coming after you. We're coming after you because you're building $500,000 house. When yesterday you were sleeping in, you're sharing room with your friend. We're coming after you to tell us where you get that money from. Maybe they got lottery in Liberia. Maybe you won the lottery, a Powerball in Liberia, or won something, some lottery. We're coming after you.
All right.
And that is how we're going to be able to resolve our perpetual and ongoing, what some people call going to be cursed. But what I'm saying is that the culture of impunity.
It is the culture of
that's
impunity,
how we're going to
indeed.
disrupt the culture of impunity.
Okay.
And that's how we're going to put our system to become a merit-based system. So if you do good, as the Bible says, you will be accepted.
All right.
But if you don't do good, sin lies at your door. For me, I say, not sin lies at your door.
I will say again, what
don't do good.
happened that time? If it happen again,
I appreciate you. And I want to send a word to Mr. Topa as you listen. We know you. You have done it before. We are not surprised that you're doing it now. And we know that it's not only because of your own interest. You're doing it because this thing, they say when you start burning the calf on the pay, you end up burning the beer. Today it was Henry Costa. Yesterday it was Martin Colley. It was Justina Taylor.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's Alari Tupac. It was Alexander Cummings.
All right.
And now the only people that are receiving political immunity is Joseph Barker. Even Joseph Barker was not Ellen Johnson Sirleaf. So we have to put a stop to this, and we have to do it now.
My brother, thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
And
God bless you, and keep up the good work. And have a wonderful night, and we'll meet again, and we'll have the discussion again.
My brother, always.
If we cannot contribute anything, we will contribute our voice. Because it's our voices that you ever been to the farm, right?
Yeah, oh yeah.
And you went in the interior, man, I didn't go in the interior of my grandma. They had this thing they call the scarecrow, right?
Yeah.
What did you notice that the birds can do? All the way the scarecrow standing with your hand open at it, just because you don't have a voice, you can't say nothing. What the birds can do?
Oh, the
birds can sit on your head.
Yeah.
And shit on the scarecrow head.
Yeah.
But my grandmother knew, so they put the tomato cup
the
tomato cup and they put it all in the red fan.
Yeah.
What do with the rock? You shake it, right?
Yeah.
You shake it, boo, 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 it will make noise, and the birds will fly away.
They will.
We have to make noise so that the birds, the vultures, and destroying our country, they will fly away. Thank you very much again.
You have a good night, man. You have a good night, man.
Good night, sir.
Yeah.
I will play the same role I play. And I'm praying to God that Cabinet wins the case at Echo's case. This will teach us a lesson. That you don't be vindictive. You don't introduce political witch hunt because somebody...
This weekend?
Capacity as a citizen of Monserrado County.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, thanks for watching. I normally find time to come here and then share some of our good ambassadors that putting their lives on the line for the well-being of our state. I've seen lots of literature, people writing. I wrote a small editorial, an opinion piece today, and I believe one of George Weah's apologetics came on it, and on that post, and he made my day. He says he calls himself political toy. I'm not sure who that is, whether it's the Minister of Finance. He said Conor Gray is at it again. Contradiction. Fakery is not part of President George M. Weah. Che, only the school point you're fabricating. Must you write? I guess that individual does not see that all of his years, this guy is one of the most successful tricksters. If you think this president is genuine, is real, then mental illness is not far from you. And this individual believes that Mr. Weah is not fake, it's real. Anyway, there are other videos of the senator and others who are making the difference. Here's why I have not been able to promote Sando Johnson as yet. Sando has been in the House probably for the last 14 years. I want to say he, along with Madam Sirleaf, I think they came to power just about the same time. It's about time he joined the Dillon doctrine. He's been pushing things since. But it would be unfair for me to come to his column because I have yet to see tangibly what he did prior to the 10 months of entry by Mr. Dillon. I have yet to see that. I have to have some level of conviction that he means well. He's not only doing this to protect, and he's shadowing under the CPP as well. I think if Liberia is going to change ultimately. Not 100% because it's going to be difficult to have 100% change right away. It will take us many, many years. We're almost 180 years old. So I think 173 so, to be specific. So it's going to be hard to just see total change. But at least we should begin to see light at the end of the tunnel. I want to be able to spy not only darkness I see casting ahead of me, but some faint light. You want to call it Chinese light, jack-o'-lantern, foo-foo lantern, whatever you want to call it. But I want to see some light at the end of the tunnel. I don't know if Sandra Johnson brings that is an enabler to that realization. He may have his own ambition. He has been able to facilitate the Dillon's endeavors, but we need a fierce person with sincerity, with candor. I'm not saying that Darius Dillon is 100% okay, but when you have all rotten apples, you find just one apple that, even if everywhere is rotten, but there's a little piece, the little bite you can get out of that apple, I think it fulfills the day. So I continue to say, you think Darius is fake, like the guy was saying, fakery is not part of George Weah. I see a con man, not even fakery. I see a very con man, a man who pretends to be what he's not, and he has successfully cajoled a lot of people, and that's why con people do. They blindfold you, they cloud your judgment, and they get their way. And for some, they're still blindfolded, they're still clouded, so they will not see what you and I see, suddenly. Some of us tend to be mature sometimes about how we go about this, but if I were in the trenches, like you have some politicians today who are in the trenches, um, I would have been more perverse, more obtuse, more verbose. And I tell you what, it doesn't take much to earn the attention of our people. Once you speak the language in certain ways where you can cajole a good number of our people, their attention, you will steal the moment. And some of us have, affinity and finesse would do those kinds of activities with, that people have to listen to us. It might not be here, but I'm telling you, in the midst of a destitute people, the conscious voice is hope. I hope to leave you with that thought, and kudos to Professor Topa Alari, and we're in it. It's one more day in the trenches, as we say in warfare. Those who find themselves, constantly looking over their shoulder, like Professor was in studio tonight and dogs were barking. Those of us who are security people, I wonder who is flooding around his yard, and my fear is that, but he has invited them, because revolutionaries actually don't fear for their own lives. People who are outside looking in are the ones. If you're a politician and you have this intimidation that you're going to be boxed in the night by the ruling establishment, then politics is not yours. That's where I see most of the folks in that CPP. They want to see them. They want to put them. Cowards. People who think that they can come to power without paying a price. That's why George Weah does not respect much, because he didn't pay much. George Weah did not pay any price at all. All of the noisemakers around him, none of them pay price. Molu went to prison. He didn't go to prison. He was in a detention site, and That's not. You should have attempted to go to Beliala like some of us. You should have gone there just for a day and come back and see whether you have your even the ability to speak. They put you in a political, domicile somewhere there on. That's why someone called that place. A lot of talk about. He calls that place New York. Given the kind of places he's been to, Samuel Doe never used to joke with how he used to confine his political opponent. He would send it to labor camps, some difficult places. South Beach, it's nothing. Trust me, it's nothing. Even Postocade was even terrible. Postocade is, they don't lock people up there today. Postocade, if they sent you to Grangide, for instance, in the Putu range, they send you to those kinds of dungeons way out there. When you come back, if you're still in politics, then you're a strong person. You see? They've seen all of those kinds of things. Some of us have. I always tell people, some of us have. It's simply because the system had control over us, because I was a soldier. If I was caught doing anything political, by my own profession, I'm deemed to be a mutinous soldier, and I could have been executed out of nothing. I could be court-martialed summarily, and I was going to be sent to my early demise. It's part of the profession, but out of those kind of imminent danger, you took risk. That what makes you a revolutionary. That's why I see, people who want to come into politics, they're scared to talk. I could not have been in Liberia today and become mute. I'll be very, very verbose. People would know that I'm there. Hell no. I'm not the kind of guy that would just go be conspicuous and go sit in a low corner. And I say our politicians, they're not politicians. They're business people trying to get the first business opportunity to be able to foster their own business profile. That's what I see. I don't see politicians. None of those people are politicians. Ben Ayo is a businessman. Cummings is a businessman. Even Omer Baka is a farmer. He's a businessman. Yumbly, she's trying to make noise because the position is threatened, and she's going to lose that seat. There's a guy other than, the guy other than other than Finley. There's a guy there. We have to look. I think he comes from the Liberty Party. That guy is even stronger. No. I think that guy is being sponsored by the CDC. He's going independent. I understand that he's the stronger voice in our place. Yumbly's going to lose that seat. She can make all the noise she wants. The other guy came in. They would just split the small vote between the two of them. But there will be a third party independent candidate that might win that seat. The same thing with Nimba. I don't think the CPP person there will win it. I don't see that. I could care less how you think about it. But I'm just speaking out of my own observation. And I think the presidency is an interesting one. Here's why I believe Madame will play a pivotal role. Madame is trying to go back into Unity Party, not because she wants to run or she wants to have someone running in that party. You have to be almost set a game plan. I'll come back to the military warfare thing. You always want to go in the head of your opponent. If you were Madame Sirleaf, how would you play this game? I want to believe that she probably have promised Mr. Weir that if you maintain my royalties, what I have, you protect those. When they say protecting Madame Sirleaf, people only think that you just want to go snatch her and do some bodily harm to her. That's not what they mean by protection. Has a bigger and wider meaning. Madame Salif looted Liberia enough, and she positioned herself. All of these loots are there, where she getting something like royalty. They're coming in. She probably have promised Mr. Ware, if you continue to protect my royalty, I'll give you a second term in office, but with condition. The condition would be either somebody that I desire goes as your running mate, and find a way to expel whoever is there right now, or I will have to do something else. And I'm pretty sure Judge Ware, being silly, probably collecting bounty and giving Madam Salif all of it, and then he takes the crumbs. How very little, how very generous that those crumbs are, it's not my focus. But Madam Salif will play it that way, so you put Mr. Ware at a standing position, and then she will make sure she manipulate Kamala Wisa to become chair of Unity Party. And then what will happen? There are still noisemakers in Unity Party that disagree with Madam Sirleaf. Eventually, a good number of that party will split, and they'll beef up one good party. And I believe Madam's boy, Musa Ability, is going to take over as Liberty Party chair. That disadvantages Yumble. And with Liberty Party, Madam has a visible footprint in there. Unity Party, she can garner forces. Either whoever goes on Liberty Party will carry somebody Madame desire. Should Judge Ware refuse? There were politics will play. That CPP, all of those who are there, thinking that Madame will support me, Cummings, me, Buckeye, of course, her brother, Benani, is out of the question. Anybody who thinks that they will get Madame's support at that level, Madame is not playing those kind of games, because she got too much royalty coming back to her. Would Buckeye be willing to sustain that royalty? I don't think so. I don't think she will invest that kind of royalty in the hands of Cummings. I don't see that. I see politics playing differently. That's why people should be on their alert. But again, we're dealing with people who are not politicians. Even Joe Buckeye is not a politician. You could not have been a politician and become vice president under someone for 12 years, and you come out and someone's still giving you handout. Like I said, it should not have been about looting the country, but you could have positioned yourself in ways that, man, you make a Nigerian vice president like Goodluck Jonathan under a Nigerian regime for 12 years and see what happened. They're done. They're rich forever because they position themselves, make sure that they use that influence, not necessarily to steal from the country, but to use their influence to amass wealth through their own business. They will go to work and ensure that they establish their own. You cannot come back and becoming vice president for 12 years and you stay cry broke, and you look up to Madam Salif to bring money into a party to footstool your own political ambition. As you're not serious. You're not ready, as we say in the military world, for prime time. That's why I lose so much taste for the ambassador Buckeye. He's not a politician. Of course, Cummings is not. Cummings has zero idea about politics. That's why before you say, he's ready to put hands in his pocket, you can buy someone's will. You can pay them as much as you want. Money can buy everything in politics. In politics, there has to be some level of use your voice to gain influence. So I don't see him as anything. And I can tell you, Bernard Ayure is willing to settle for anything. He and Madame Salif, they were playing their thing. They're sister and brother, anyway, in the Masonic rituals. But don't take me for my word. Just watch politics. I just gave you an overview for you to look at life, what we call a relook. Don't just be fixated that the CPP is the best thing that happened. It depends where you stand. It's the best thing for you. Do you think the CPP is the best thing for influential politicians like Madame Sirleaf and some other tough guys that are, that still have interest in this? So your definition of the best thing is yours. But I think politics, open up your eyes. Like Madame. Madame is somebody, if you're not smart, she's gone. Before you raise your head, no sight of her. She went to court. She won that case. That her expulsion was unconstitutional. It violated her rights. Who knows what she did there? The judges probably that the legal court that saw the case, probably she appointed that person. And Madame Spence, those people they're wealthy because they stole money unchecked in our country. They have political money. You see people in the street today, sharing that little dilapidated money. Those were some of the money that the people were going to go buy with that $25 million that they kept for themselves. That is right there. Imagine I've not seen that level of money since the mop-up exercise ended. They got all those things. But they say, well, Liberians are not there in any way, so nobody's talk much. So now they're coming out so early with those money. What would you do, huh? What would you do? Nothing. Nothing. And so the voices that are there speaking up are the ones that are gaining admiration, and I'll continue to project this kind of thing. I don't like boredom, especially in politics. If you speak softly, you should be able to be resolute. You should have some level of gamesmanship. But before someone say, hey, you had to put hand in their pocket thinking that's how you influence people, they'll take you as an NGO. Anytime they know how to get money from you. One guy was causing noise because he said that they have to support his political ambition. Next we heard they were sharing money between government of Liberia and the so-called COP. That's how politics, politicians supposed to be very, very, in fact, you have your intelligence team. You got to be resolute, tough. Not to come in to think that you're dissolving, a political organization or install. That's not where the game is played. Where you represent yourself is not where politics is played. It's played against your opponent, those who have seriously equal eye on the price that you are going after. Some people think that it's over now. They're visiting people, with certain people flank them. You haven't gone anywhere yet. And people all the way in other places, when you call Darius Dillon, they're fired up. That's how it's supposed to be by now for some politician. If you mean business, if you're ready for prime time, by the time they say this person, the whole community will go, whoa. Yeah, Sander was in studio. They was saying that he went somewhere in Marcus Swain district. That's in Bombay, all the way somewhere there. And the moment he mentioned about Darius Dillon, the whole place went, oh, that's the man we want to see. It should be for some politician by now if you seriously think that you're making a run for office. If people still can get excited when they hear your name. Something not right. Maybe politics is not your game, or maybe you need to double up and kind of repackage what you're doing wrongly. You play too much inside politics. Politics is an offense game. You take the fight to your enemy. You conquer the territory, the principality. You beat them at their game. You amass that political or social capital. You become strengthened to move further. Not inside. You're changing the people around you. You can change as much once you have not brought the fight out as a general. You can have all your bodyguard around you, but you have to test the water when you step out there into enemy's territory, and that cache of bodyguard protects you. Or advisor, political advisor. You hear this one say, I'm political advisor. Political advisor for your kitchen cabinet indoor. Go outside. Go conquer principality. How many political bodyguards you have around Darius Dillon? How many? He's taking the fight deep into enemy's territory. That's why he's the household name. That's how certain politicians should be by now, like Darius Dillon, the household name. And when they call your name, but continue to prop yourself. I don't want this. I want this. I want to bring Kofi Woods around me. Oh no, Bud Charles. Bring them. The fight is not around you. The fight is out there. I cannot overemphasize and trust me. If these are the folks who continue to make us admire politics, admire our political landscape, and they will be looking out for the likes of Darius Dillon, Professor Alari Tokba, and these other people. Any stiff-necked politician, I always quote that chapter from Bob Marley. It says, stiff-neck is a fool. Some people think that I'm a cool guy, and that's how I'm going to play politics. We've been playing it this way forever. If you keep doing this, no result, you expect different result. No, that's not the meaning of that. The meaning of warfare is warfare. The meaning of warfare is warfare. The meaning of nonviolence agitation is nonviolent agitation. If you want to be a nonviolent agitator, then you must be not a politician. You must be an advocate, a social advocate. But if you think that as a politician you must be a nonviolent person, good luck. Good luck. You're not going to get anywhere. This weird government, they're brutal. Brutal in the sense that they care less about the only language they understand is the language spoken by Darius Dillon and the like of Professor Alari Tokwa. They understand those languages. They went to bed last night thinking about those people. They're not thinking about you. You can be up in your penthouse, remain there, looking down. I don't think. They think about people who really take the warfare to them. Do you know what happened? How much serious, smaller discussions they had just from what they heard today from Alari Tokwa and Darius Dillon? Do you know how many? Watch tomorrow. They'll come back to counterattack. Dillon is ready. I like Dillon. I didn't know he had more. Dillon was one of the people who really gave Madam Salif hell. I remember it was him and Moses Carrier's Gray. But Darius Dillon was especially, turbulent when, gave until Madam Salif had to bring him over. Like anybody, you tend to say, okay, let me give the moment. Maybe that's where people think that Darius is not sincere in itself. But sometimes when the enemy calls you for truce at the table, humanity steps in and you say, okay, let me give this person some time. Dillon gave Madam Salif long time. came with her, get to know her better, and he saw exactly what his inclination, have been telling him. Why Dillon could not complete, you understand, his endeavor at Stroyer. Not to say it was difficult, but to attend college in America without a status, you must have a full-blown scholarship. Probably they pulled the rug under him because of differences. And Dillon was already becoming a conscious mind without even attending 5 months of college. Came here, I think 5 semesters, if I'm not mistaken. That's a lot. I don't think Bill Gates had that much college experience. I don't think Zuckerberg even stayed in college that long. Can you imagine? And these are some of the serious inventors of our time today. We pay too much attention to college degree that you can hang on the wall. That's not the education. It's the experience, the live experience you get from there. What makes some of us not calling ourselves doctor? Who cares? I don't hang things behind my wall. I got all kinds of, including some big ones. Who cares? It's how you carry on. Since some people are so worked out about the academic degree, man, take the degree and give me the status of Bill Gates. I'll take it. Give me what Mark Zuckerberg, just a fourth of their lived experience. I don't need no PhD. A lot of times, somehow we were worked out of these things too much. That's why we are underaccomplished. Because you spend so much time just to get a graduate degree in a country like this. That's why everybody is fighting to go back home. You come and struggle to get all those things. They bring the girl who just got his MBA. You train them before you look there. The assistant, CEO in the job. They're gone. You're not catching them anymore. You said now your academic stout self, you're stalwart. Who cares? Nobody cares. And Liberians, we will focus too much on these things. Somebody, right? Because you must say it. Oh, I have this degree. And some folks, when they write you small thing, you look under there. Letters, bunch of letters. Go in the LinkedIn profile. Oh my goodness. You're worked out with all of these things. And this is all the slavery that the West commits you to. You're worked out. I'm not saying don't be educated. You can grab a book, you can grab a few books, you can grab so many good writers and just read like the Darius Dillons of the world. Without college degree, but you can write. You put Darius Dillon and some serious master's degree holder here to say, okay, compose an essay that makes sense and see what Darius comes out with. It doesn't come by accident. I'm not praising him because of that, but I've seen some of his writing. Even those who claim to have master's degree, I've not seen them writing like that before. I wonder if some people got a master's degree, they don't have to write a thesis. You just do what we call a business simulation. Matter of fact, it's team effort. You join a group of other students. You'll come up with this business simulation. Maybe your duty was just to take note. And you'll compile everything. You'll go. The other one person defends it. You're standing there. The others are standing there. And you come out, you get a master's degree. Hey. About put Darius Dillon. See some of his writing. Go on his page. Go on his page. That's why he's able to address the issue so much with some level of finesse. Even those with master's degree and PhD, sometimes they struggle. I know them. I know people how people struggle. Everything they have to hello Tanya. Everything they have to push to somebody else to do it for them. Of course, Darius Dillon has launched a challenge. He said, Tower mustn't be there, McGill must not be there. Put him and George Weah, he's a third grader, this he said, makes fun of himself. Put this third grader and George Weah, say, you'll write something. None of these other guys that make George Weah, thinking that he too is a scholar. None of them must be there, just the two of them on that challenge. And I had a guy named Randy Delpo today was making noise about, he talking about triangle. Everybody's trying to be scholarly now. He's gonna, he's trying to describe how empty Darius Dillon is. Empty? It's relative. I said, well, I'm ready to debate. I'm ready to moderate the debate between you and Darius Dillon. You guys should come in studio and let's dwell on policy. You, Randy, branding yourself as an engineer, telling Dillon that Dillon is empty. I will moderate. Let's just see who is the scholar among between the two. Most times we denigrate people because we don't hear their degree. The moment we hear that degree, lessen our ego to go further. Some folks just want to see they account for what they say. It's enough. It's substantial enough for you to say, you know what? Yeah, I think this person can deliver. But no. You got a man who say, I came from DeVry, I don't know what he got, MBA or MS or whatever, or MA. I came from DeVry, I'm educated. You barely can. I have a writing, like I said, that came out of George Weah 2005. I have that stuff. I shared with one of my friends a few days ago. Man, if you can get two solid sentences out of that, two solid sentences. This was when Weah was claiming that he had a bachelor's degree, not the master's yet. I have that. If I show you that stuff, you will argue with me that it was not written by this man. This, to tell you how truly porous Mr. Weah is, that's my point of comfort, my reference. I always go back and look if I can make sense out of what he was saying. We're in trouble, deep trouble, with a guy who feels so self-assured or some reassurance that can account for nothing. In Weah's mind, it's like the mind of a child, an adolescent, who's, springing into puberty, that age of maturity where you begin to make sense out of the world. That's the kind of mindset he has. That's why we made the case before that if he wins election, he's going to be glorifying that victory for so many years. There'll be party literally in the executive mansion. Isn't that what is happening today? Of course. Because he does not have the mind of a full-blown adult. All he thinks about is fun. Thinks about enjoyment, merrymaking. That's how children think. You are the president of a nation that is impoverished. Matter of fact, they say we're last place now on the pyramid, on the ladder. We're number one that you step on to get to the top. And yet you still always having a party, you giving people money to go in the street and share. That's insensitivity. That's also is part of uncivilization. When someone lacks the ability to be civilized and understand that it is because of their action that the state is where it is, and people go to bed, retire to bed, hungry every night, and yet you don't see that as anything. That's insensitively uncivilized. Your conscience should be your guide. People like those don't have conscience because, according to him, he's doing his self-accomplishment by becoming president. That's all he needs. To see in others that if I can be president, you're okay. Well, it takes more than that. It takes more than that. And, you have this henchmen around him who are giving him, fending him. Maybe that's what he wants to hear. Are you doing well, Papi? The country is better than ever before. Let's just say that. Oh, it's true. What? But let me let you guys go. Thank you so much. I think people are changing the narratives. People are changing the narratives. The Honorable Senator is changing. And without a doubt, I know that they will, exercise the stupidity to try to cheat. Because for them, it's all about the political future. Can you imagine if they were to lose Montserrat again 2 times to one person? I think that will be the end. And they can't imagine a day in our Liberian politics where that would be the end of them going forward. So they'll do everything to exercise that stupidity to stall that process. And that is where the roach will fall in the palm oil battle and languish there and die. Because you know what? All of our problems started with our self-ego. All of our problems. Either you saw somebody with a big house and you too want yours, boom, you jump there. Or someone driving a very expensive Maserati or some expensive, car, and you say, oh, I must get mine. Egocentrism is one of our major problems in life. And now what will happen? They cannot afford to lose Montserrat. Meanwhile, you have the entire country. Nothing. Instead of you trying to correct and win the minds of people over, you did worst. You promised a stimulus package, kept people in their home, brutalized them. The first thing this government did, as Professor, instead of buying, some protective suit for people for COVID-19, they bought a lot of rations, canes, to whip people. And then they chase the people into their homes. Why would you be so angry with people who rewarded you power? What? Is that what the fetish person tells you to do? That, hey, in order to get power, you must brutalize those who gave you power? What type of fetish person would give you such an idea? So, this person has become so insensitive till anybody who speaks against him, completely they find a way to eliminate you. Justina Taylor said a lot. And all of those things are true. But I still cannot fathom that the scary George Weah, who was never anywhere around in Liberia when things were really raging hell, is a guy who thinks that he's now the tyrant. Oh, come on, man. If Taylor did not survive, who is George Weah? I just hope my people will not exercise their right to exercise politics too much because, a lot of stupid people in our country right now, in the sense that they are so angry till they will not use their senses. They will victimize a lot of other people, not because they're supporting government, but because the system itself is so lawless. So lawless. Liberia is lawless. That's why you have this level of rape. You have, this level of robbery, broad day. People are even angry. They take blunt object. They stop people. Sometimes nothing come out of those. The country needs a transformation complete transformation. And that transformation should not come with any kind of warfare. Not necessarily with guns. But warfare could be with stones and machetes. It could be with any object. When you drive the people to a certain extent, and sometimes you may not be the only victim. Other innocent people who have put their lives back together and have finally find themselves a place they call home, not in a refugee camp, but in their own homeland where they were born. They have a small, unit sitting down there that they know definitely it's theirs. And some stupid situation will come and wipe that away. That will be unbearable. That's where some of us are appealing to the conscience of the people that as much as things are not okay, through God, through your own reasonable mind, our nation will rise up again. Not under George Weah. George Weah is a lost battle. It's a lost cause. I think they should go on to elect Darius, build on that momentum, and just X this government out of power. If they vote them out overwhelmingly, they can try as much as they want to cheat. The outcome will be different. I know our people. Joe Weah is not a stalwart. Even Charles Taylor had to leave when the heat was heavy on him. He left. Who is George Weah? Joe Weah is a nobody. He got one or two, surrogates that posing to be strong, but those people are not more treacherous than the like of Harrison Penner. We had some Charles Julu, those kinds of folks who will bury people alive. Maybe you don't have them. Most of them brand themselves as generals when they don't even know the meaning of a general. So maybe you have few stupid people around still who think that they have what it takes to sustain an oppressive government in power. But I think by and large, if they wanted to try it when Dillon won, they wanted to seriously cheat him like the guy up in Sino. How they cheated that person who won the election, and then they said they went for a recount, third count finally before they said the person they will into power won the election. I don't know what became of that, but it was too broad for you to cheat Darius Dillon. And God, as God could have it, people like Ivor Togba, they was the one that started saying, hey, the man won the stuff, give it to him. Maybe that's why they don't like him. I mean, Ivor Togba said it. He said, hey, man, the man won the stuff. It's clear. Why would you bring embarrassment? People like George Weah don't like those kinds of people. Oh, no, look, we have politicians in our CPP that don't like people who will tell them the truth. And for me, that's why I can cut the chase, because I've talked about it and they sat around and condoned this monster for so long. Oh, I would have gotten out of that kitchen long time, because the heat would have driven me out of there. Clearly, I would have gone. But you sat there thinking that this monster that was growing would change. It's not going to change. And I saw that in my own political party. There's people just embolden themselves to make themselves appear so untouchable, ungovernable, lawless. You condone those kinds of people, you carry them in the bigger stage, they'll lay you down. Ivor and others, they sat there, they condoned somebody like George Weah for so long, didn't put him in his place. You understand? Now he's a monster. What would you do to him? The man was not a president. He was so egotistical. How much more now is the president? He wakes up, he has that self-reminder every night. I'm the president of this country, It's such a man, you think is untouchable right now. The only language that I may understand is the language of force. That when he brings his silliness to you, you tell him that he's nobody to threaten you. You think Alaa Tokwa has military behind him? But he has been through it. That's why he has the boldness to look at him and say, you can't drive me out of here. You know, that's why I say Henry Costa was making all that, you know, all those. But the moment he was out of there. People don't respect you when you're that way. Yeah. People don't respect you. You look, number one, when you're at that stature, at that level, it's very difficult for a government that is so scary to just grab you and wipe you out. It's hard. Otherwise, we'll not see Dillon tomorrow. No. They make it seem obvious like your life is in danger. But you know what? The reason why the other men will take to their heels is because you stood the ground. Period. That's a simple analogy in military. If you run from war, you only die tired. So stand up. Better to stand with courage and die than to run and die tired. And so I see our politicians, they're too concerned about their own security, their safety. Liberia is not as bad as it used to be when the military was in power or when Taylor was there. You have the like of Benjamin Yetan. The guy will sever your head off, separated from the body, and then they're still looking whether you stay alive. You get the man head, the body on that side, trying to, to end whatever piece of life left in it. You still checking to see if the man is alive. Can you imagine those kinds of people? We don't have those anymore. Who you got? General Power, those kinds of people. Those are all cowards. I'm telling you. If not, Yeka Kaliba will not be up today. You have to be able to judge the moment and say, you know what? I will stand the grounds. They try 1-2 times, then you have your way. I'm telling you, you have your way. And now we've seen some worse. Even Chucky Taylor that's in prison today. I remember when he brutalized a girl. I mean, it was unbearable. The girl was on Camp Johnson Road, and even she was the commander then of Watanga base. This so-called protocol chief, what's the name, with Mr. Weir today. You understand? She was the commander of Watanga base on the Taylor. Notorious people. Findabundo. Notorious people. All those people are still around George Weir. They're there. Maybe they are emboldening him. But to be frank, even his AD Camp, who was commander for Taylor in the southeastern region, the two. I remember when LPC, Liberian Peace Council, overran their position up in all of them were flying to go to the Ivory Coast through Maryland. Those people really, most of us have seen some stuff. The only time some of us became so terrified was because we had our own friendly forces were trying to put us, in the backyard of Mr. Taylor because of our own tribal affiliation. They thought, oh, this man is named a certain way, so therefore that Taylor man. If you have three forces looking for you, who are you going to identify with? I was a natural enemy in the camp of Prince Johnson because I was an AFL soldier. I was an enemy in the AFL because they thought I was not AFL enough. I was more a certain tribe belonging to Taylor, so therefore. And then, of course, I couldn't go to Taylor because I was AFL soldier. So naturally, there was no need to. Who are you going to stand? Where are you going to stand even to fight? So some of us had to relinquish our concept until sanity could come back to the state. because I was even more afraid of my own AFL, especially those people who were brought from the interior that have never been part of the army. But because of some tribal affiliation, they were there to protect the hegemony of Samuel Doe. And those people they would go after even a baby who they believe was not. Matter of fact, they disarmed everybody who didn't come from a certain tribe. And all these guys, that some of them, I see them in the diaspora, who just laugh. Who laugh about the past. Some of those people were notorious. And I'm not from a certain tribe, so I can't carry a gun. If I'm in a war where bullets flying, what am I doing there with what? I'll be holding sticks. The first thing, they disarm all the folks and begin to eliminate certain people when they see that you have, they believe you have ties to certain, certain entity. Don't have to be even a military entity, but they just put together, these are the people. I mean, imagine somebody who used to build a sculptor, one of the most experienced sculptists, the guy Alvanger Richards, the guy who built all those beautiful monuments around E.J. Roy. If you had gone around Liberia during his time, you see some beautiful monuments. That guy built those things. You just went and grabbed them and you say, because that Taylor, Alvanger Richards is a Congo man, so Taylor is a Congo man. Boom. Without even recourse to think that this could be the only guy that will beautify our country. And then you walk in ignorance, coming back, calling yourself an AFL soldier. So I was naturally happy when the dissolution of the AFL came about, but I wanted them to do it with some care, because there were some innocent people who had served the army that were not part of any. They were victims themselves, like me. I was a victim. But forget about me. What about those Bandi Lama people that took the military all their life, 50 years, some of them? They were only counting on getting a lip pension. Some of them came in the army at age 17, until they was 60-something, they were still there because they had certain level of skills. Our Kamnama, 5th Battalion that was up in Bangladesh, we had some of our expert marksmen, people who could raise artillery from a certain distance and shoot across and hit with precision. Those people were there. They were not the ones shooting. Other than that, they would have been the one launching Butu and Kample. But some of these people used their own judgment and said, no, we can't do that. Our people are there. And those people left because they themselves were even threatened. And then finally you came and just dissolved the army and then pat some people on the back. Some people you didn't even want to see them because there was no record to even prove that, that they were part of the military. I mean, a lot of things happen that we need to address. And then you have one on school government just sitting down there chasing after everybody, thinking that this is my land, we fought together. What did you fight for? Madam Salif? Like you go in heaven and start fighting against the angels. Like Lucifer going against the heavenly kingdom, replete with angels when he himself was an angel there, Angel Lucifer. I mean, definitely, who wins that battle? You, Satan, will win the battle because these are angels. They are not supposed to inflict any harm or mayhem against anybody. Same with Madam Salif's government. What was she doing? Well, yeah, sometimes, my own family man carries goes during the struggle. Which struggle? The struggle that some of them were not in power. Now they're there, they are able to dip their hands in the cookie jar. So it's no longer a struggle. I will say this again, that's not the meaning of the word struggle. That's not the meaning of when we used to change our sleeping place under Samuel, even though I was a soldier, because we all had our own revolutionary responsibility. We had some, I will not say because it may seem betrayal to the very profession I serve, but there was the need for us to bring multi-party democracy in Liberia. Not everybody understand how difficult that role was. When you have someone who thinks narrowly, like how you have a president in power today who only thinks about himself. Everything that goes on in Liberia should be about George Weah. Whether it's the Jamaica Resort, whether it's the 14 military hospital named after his football jersey, anything you think about. We had 10 times that under Samuel Doe because this was a guy who had become so obsessed with himself. No different. And that's why the guy is moving eastward towards Granji there. Mr. Weah is. Because that's where Doe was. So maybe he's trying to carbon copy some of his way of life. That's his own admiration, maybe. Who knows? But I'm only saying that to usher that multi-party democracy it was tough. Remember they went for a guy named Pangbayizi Duago. The guy could barely walk, but when he talks, if you don't see him, just the audio, you think that he's a stalwart, very heavyweight guy who could fight like a Rambo. But this is a guy who was disabled, completely quadriplegic. When he gets up, he has to depend on on 2 pieces of crutches to move. But Doe was so angry with him, he said, "Y'all go get him." And then the soldiers burst. They went into his home and said, "Who is Gabriel Kangba? He's a drug." He said, "Who wants Gabriel Kangba? He's a drug." The guy's disabled, laying down in bed. And then they said, "But this is the guy." They say, "How can this be the guy?" It's funny now, but I think Gabriel is still alive. God preserves his soul. And he was telling us the story when they went into his house. But of course, some of us were able to alert people because our ears were pressed in places. We're part of the student struggle. Where if you're caught, that's how some of us ended up going to labor camps like Beliala on 2 occasions. I was lucky. I could have been, in the military, that's a 50-year offense. If you're a soldier and then you join ranks with fringe groups, you're caught, court-martial, could be executed. Nobody was going to stand there. But people don't appreciate those things. I hear, those kids who were born in the late in the 2000s and late 90s, like some of our children will come and say, "Nobody know you here." Yeah, I agree. That nobody could be you. Because you're a nobody. You don't know me. I agree. And that makes you nobody. If you're willing to take that you're nobody and you don't know me, that I agree. So today, that's the only discussion you hear among the little ones that were not even there. That can't even remember World War III that just occurred just yesterday. They can't even remember. And these are the individuals who fell in the flame of the courtship of George Weah, thinking that that's the best thing, because that's all they know. All they know. Sometimes, kids have become so insolent and so rude and so sulky. When Liberians are advocating for their rights, most of them will not believe what they will see happening. We used to be that same way when we were growing up. We didn't know what transpired in the late 60s, coming up to the early 70s, when they had those big demonstrations until so 1970. First it was 77, then 79. Woo! But people were running everywhere. Then 1980 coup came, so oh my goodness. Thinking that those were cakewalks compared to the war. Oh my goodness. If you have lived through those kinds of era, you be very careful in life. But these kids, they come out under your post and some will tell you, they don't know. You can't really hold someone accountable for what they don't know. They just don't know. They just think Liberia is always like this. They don't know. Where the next door neighbor will come and surround your house. And the first person you see laying down, fighting to end take their last breath is somebody who was just sitting down with playing checker. How would you feel? That can change your perspective of life. But most of the kids, they all I hear people say, that stuff that happened can never happen here. So what do you have to stop things that happened yesterday from happening today? Most Liberians are tired, and that's the older generation. They're tired. But younger generation, they have not felt anything, so they're only fired up. And you have a good number of people that will facilitate that young generation to doing the wrong thing. As long as you continue to think that the state is yours 100%. From what I see now, people think that the state is their personal property. Nobody can talk. They come after you. But we have a lot in there. It took one guy from Bouzizi, the guy from Tunisia. He was fed up. He lit himself on fire. That sparked the Arab Revolution. Sometimes it takes one event. Don't push too hard. Hang in there. You performing dismally. You can't have your cake and eat it. You can't control the narrative out there when people are really struggling. You just don't have that ability to. Don't force it. You can never come into a power and say you will silence everybody. It's not possible. Not the Liberians that I know. Look, even the international community understand Liberians that when it comes to participating in their politics, as Prince was saying, and that's true. I listened to Bill Clinton. He was saying he had quite a bit to say about Liberia. I was even shocked his level of nuance about the country. Liberians can act like they're coward for some time, but when they're like cat with 9 lives, you push them up the wall, they have to naturally fight back. And sometimes you may not be the one to tell the story. I'm telling you. There are lots of folks that I felt like the Harrison Penner, who they thought they were going to write the history of our country after that post-war era. No, others are writing their history today. So you never know from whence the bell tolls or for whom the bell tolls. It could be you. Good night. Have a good day.